Hi everyone, French Wine Addict, and we are live once again, first live of 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you guys did start 2025 with style, maybe with family and friends. Christmas, New Year, 2025. Time flies, amazing. So it's almost like three years since I have moved to Canada. So time flies really. And I decided to host another live stream. No plan, nothing really prepared. I sent a couple of messages before Christmas to some VC members, VC friends, and I know some of you guys you took a little bit of time off from the work, maybe with your family and friends. So I haven't really uh, received lots of responses. Yes, yesterday saw some people they were like text me on the phone saying maybe they will pop by. So let's see how it goes, how it evolves. Nothing really planned as I say. I will we'll put a link in the chat straight away. So feel free to join if anyone wants to join, wants to have a chit chat with myself, with maybe with other friends. I had I made some phone calls with Stunty earlier this morning. So maybe he will pop by, depending upon his soccer team has won the game. So let's see. So and feel free, as I say, to everyone. Oh, we already have 10 people watching, 12 hi people. So yeah, it's an open mic session once again. Nothing, sorry, nothing really planned. Feel free to join myself. You click on the link, this HTTPS StreamYard, and then I will be inviting you to join me in the chat. So you will be able to join my panel. Salut Joe, hi, fellow member from the French vinyl community, local guy, as I say, local. Well, he comes from the same place as I do in Alsace, and I was very lucky to meet this guy at a store. Um, yeah, I had some habits. It was my favorite record store back in the days when I was still living in France in Guebwiller. Was a very pleasure to te rencontrer, Joe. C'était vraiment très sympa. So welcome on board. Welcome to the show. We will be discussing about everything you want. No worries about that. Still rediscovering some section of my collection. I did. Okay. Okay, so Stunty will be like not really in a good mood. Uh, as it turned out, his favorite soccer team, Lyon, uh, they they lost the game again. Brest, which is really funny when you say Brest in, uh, in English. That's a city in Brittany, which is funny because I think he has something to do with Brittany, but he's a sporting supporter of Lyon. So as I said, I was like rediscovering some section of my collection. I took some time off for myself over Christmas and New Year. So we have lots of snow over here. It's like snowing like every day, really cold. We are like minus 10 something C, which is probably 26 F something, probably around. So really cold. So I wasn't really keen to on going like Montreal downtown to the local record stores. Yeah, I've been there for a birthday gift for a friend of mine. This was like just when we had like a little bit of break. We had like 2 days without any snow, with some decent temperature. So I really took the opportunity to go in Montreal. That day was like between Christmas and New Year something, and otherwise I wasn't really like spending lots of money on either online to buy some records. So like really, as I said, rediscovering my section of my collection. I recently As a matter of fact, yesterday I uploaded a very special video, yeah, about jazz. And when I hit the button, when I hit the publish button, I was like, huh, not sure about that one. Not sure because it took me like lots of times. I was like listening to those records like several time and writing, like what I felt by listening to those records. And I was like, maybe won't be. I know jazz is a complex topic, and I'm not an expert by any means. And I was like, doing apology several times, since you never know what will be the reaction. You will be on the one end, people are not jazz. It's not for me, so they will quit the video. And other like really nerd, really like not nothing really expert, but like, yeah, let's say jazz lovers. And maybe those people like will watching the video and will be like, huh, okay, I'm it's not about learning something, but I don't like give lots of details as I usually do. It's different than when I talk about progressive rock, or when I talk about other maybe new wave stuff. I know much more details, the interaction, between the members, the context, political, economical situation. Jazz is a whole world. And yeah, I started to read some books, yeah, over Christmas or the festive season, to learn a little bit more about the evolution of jazz, what happened, even what happened in Europe. It was pretty amazing. There were this guy called George Webb, and he started a very one of the very first jazz Dixielanders jazz band in the UK. So they, even in the UK, they were like, it was a big thing back then. And also in France, after 68, the free jazz, all these jazz player, they, let's say, didn't feel really safe in the US because of all this political situation back in the days. And so lots of people, they were like, they came over to France. And it's amazing now, the lots of records album from the BYG actual label has been where it's been reissued over the last year, so you can find them at a decent price. And yeah, it's a whole word. It's a whole word. So yeah, I was listening to lots of jazz, as I said last week. And yeah, just made it. So feel free to watch it, if it, yeah, if you can pique your curiosity, so to say. Salut Perplex, salut, another French guy from the French vinyl community. So yeah, just as I said, this is the link. Feel free to click on that link to join myself. Maybe if you want to have a quick chat, or a longer chat, if you want to. No plan, no rules. Let's see where it goes. Yeah, if I'm the only one speaking or talking, I won't be doing that for 5 hours for sure. But if anyone wants to, well, yeah, wants to join, I know lots of people from quite a some people, not a lot, some people, some VC friends from Germany said, hey, maybe I will be popping by. Let me see if, hey, hi. Yeah, as I said, feel free to join. Click on the link. Don't be shy. I won't bite you. I had my lunch. It's fine. We can talk about everything you want to, music related stuff, records, your plan, your projects on 2005. And hey, salut. Hi, Greg, fellow member from the North American vinyl community as well. And it's really cool when I see, sounds stupid, but when I see a video that I upload, and when I take a look, like, on the next day, you usually gets the greatest part, the bigger deal of comment the next day, the first 24 hours after you uploaded that video. It's really fun to see lots of people. I'm dealing with three, sometimes four languages. It's pretty amazing, like people coming in from France or French speaking countries. I do have some German friends as well. They know I can speak their language, so they write in comments in German, and of course the rest of the world. So pretty much UK, US, Canada, Australia as well. So and Stockholm. Hi, Jonas, and another member from the Swedish vinyl community, Christopher. Hi. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm really glad having managed to build up this community of people who come from all around the world, and it really is. Sometimes I can host a live stream, and this is my thing. Hey, hi, Steve. I will talk about this, Steve, in a few minutes. But yeah, this is really the thing, being part of the VC, and I invite you to watch the video. Very kind, very nice video. Vinyl Spiral uploaded a couple of days before today. So he's like giving lots of shout out to lots of cool VC channel. And this is really what a community is all about, having this exchange. For me, the icing on the cake 2024 was being able to meet up to have some meeting, to meet in real life people like you guys, like other VC member. And this is really what I will be continuing. This will go on this year. I'm hoping to have lots of people from around the world, and it's really nice because now I can have this access to the German. For those who knows, I also have a secondary channel. A secondary. This is my the main YouTube channel. This one, French Vinyl Addict. I recently started a crazy idea. I'm having in a German speaking channel. Yeah, I speak German as well, and it's not that bad. About I'm not really unsatisfied with the figures. Really, I have nothing like high expectations. It's only like sharing some stuff, and I really like when I can have on the panel those people from all over the world. Like on the very first live stream I did host on this channel, I had a pleasure having both Nadine from Germany, who is very into soul, into disco, with Steve, the vinyl. Now is the Record Mission. That's his name of his channel. Back in the days was his channel called Vinyl Chef Steve. So jazz nerd as well. And this is really what I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward, in the coming year, having live streams with people, bringing people together. I saw lots of things that were not so okay. I won't be talking about the context surrounding the tags. Said several tags. No drama on this channel, as you know. But when you see that, you can see, okay, there is this part of the VC. It's okay. Those things can happen, and other things, it's much more smaller channel, just like mine, where we can actually bring people together. We can have a talk. We can have a fair discussion about what we like, and sometimes we have the pleasure to meet in real life, sharing a drink, like last year in Toronto was pretty surreal, being in Toronto myself, French guy, moved to Canada almost 3 years ago, as I said, being with Brian and Brianic Robot, local guy, very cool, and Ben Rankings from Australia. All these two people in the same place, like digging for a record in local record stores in Toronto. And then after having a beer, having a drink, pretty surreal. And this is really the icing, as I said, the best part. So this is why I will. So if I were to shut off the channel for any reason, this was probably be the main motivation to say no. Just stay strong, or you know what I mean. Keep going. This is the good part. So yeah, this guy. A is for Alice, B is for Bob, C is for Who knows? Um, yeah, no, it's actually more than that. You say your four grandparents were from this country. This is Steve. Steve, please go on this to this channel. Very cool guy. He previously has a YouTube channel, was very popular. He decided to shut down for his personal reason. No worries. No important. And but what happened was, I had a feeling when he had his previous channel, he was like doing the same job as I trying to do over here, gathering people together. He had this live stream, not every Sunday evening, like maybe every 2 weeks or something, with Travel, Flatrun, and Spun, and Marsha P, and trying to organizing the setting event. Very friendly. He was very supportive from almost from day one. When I did start to, no, it's not true. It's actually Brian from Embryonic Robot. He once talked about a guy with a spreadsheet, and it piqued my curiosity. So I went to check on Steve's channel. So Steve is back after a couple of month break, or yeah, he explained everything on his channel. So go on his channel. I think he had like 800, 900 something subs when he decided to shut down the previous channel he was having. Now he's starting from scratch, as we say. So yeah, give him a sub, support Steve. Really glad that Steve is back, and I had a pleasure to meet Steve in real life as well, since he came all over from his from Chicago. He spent like a weekend or something. Yeah, he made some small vacation over here in Montreal. Was last October something, October, November. I don't know. It was in October. Yeah, shortly after our Canadian Thanksgiving. So yeah, he came over, and it was a pleasure. I took him to several of my favorite record stores over here in Montreal. Then we shared a drink, and yeah, really lovely person. And yeah, Steve could be, sorry Steve, but Steve could be the same age of my father. But I like to talk to Steve because he's still like very connected. He's not about, okay, the old band I was like listening to when I was young, and trying to focus on this period. Is like very like curious, or to find out about new stuff, keeping abreast of what's going on. And this is really what I like. So it's still like a really cool. So you can speak English and jive. Okay, so hey, hop on. I will just put a link in the chat for those who just arrived, having a sip of water and raspberry syrup. This is this is not something serious. It's still early in the afternoon. So yeah, I speak English and jive. So dead wax, cheese and crackers, maybe some wine. Yeah, some wine probably later. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, a lot of Swedish people actually, and I have the feeling they all uh, go by Jonas, or no, not Christopher, but I think Jonas is a very popular name in Sweden. To straw one drink, yeah, yeah, sure. It was a absolute pleasure, absolutely a pleasure. Yeah, as I said, I had a pleasure. Last year, 2024 was pretty surreal when it came to meeting with VC friends. I met up with Steve, with Dom, Seeking a Shred last summer. AMGK's Boston, Party Keg, amazing. So many people there, so many good friends. And yeah, Ben as well. Den Bosch was pretty surreal as well. Den Bosch, I had a chance. I could try. I could take a trip to Europe, biggest record fair in the world. Really is. Yeah, I could meet. I met up with the German, Michael 45, Thomas Bosk, Stunty, my buddy Stunty, and so other people from the fellow member from the French vinyl community. So hey, Jack, hop on if you dare, hop on. And yeah, hi, Julian. This is a young guy. Yeah, we always say, yeah, the average age of VC member, is probably closer than which end I'm talking about. Julian is a really young guy. I'm not sure if he does videos in English. He does speak English, I know. Sometimes he comments or he receives comments on in English on this video. He is in Germany. He's located, I think, in the Black Forest, so not too far where I come from, and such a nice guy. Very like with lots of enthusiasm, lots of great ideas. Doesn't play by the rules. I mean, it's not like calculated, waiting to have a certain amounts of subs. He does his live stream sometimes alone, but he doesn't care, if and it's really the true passion. So this is a very, very cool guy, Metal Heaven Records. So and I have the feeling the music is into was like maybe mine back in the days when I was like 14, 16 years old. The kind of late 70s, early 80s stuff I was into back then. So yeah, feel free to maybe to check out Julian, so Metal Heaven Records channel. Okay, there you go. Is that a rule maybe in Sweden? Like, it's like everyone, it's like you need to have, you need to, who knows? Who cares? Sure. Hey, good question. Good question. I will have lots of changes in my life. I won't be talking about that over here. Maybe in a private circle, behind the scenes, so to say. Yeah. Let's see if I can have you know we can talk about that later. But I would love to. I will definitely love to. Yeah, I will love to. It was a very good experience, and yeah. So might be easiest to me because Buffalo is like let's see where, but Boston was like a 5 hours drive straight through Vermont, New Hampshire. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I would love to, definitely. I would really love to. Yeah, I think might be appealing you. Yeah, Christopher, this kind of stuff's Julian, which I say Julian with the German accent, but it's Julian, Julean. So hey, no worries, no worries, and don't hesitate to pop by if you want to. If you I know you can speak a little bit of English as well. And hi, this is Sean. Sean is in the house. Sean is in the house. So welcome on board. I you did upload a video a couple of days ago. I started to watch it. I tried to write some note down. There was some really interesting stuff I wanted to comment the next day, but it was like really, really, really crazy. Or it wasn't like really crazy, but I was like took a little bit of a break, as I said. Even on the French speaking channel, we host now every Sunday morning with my buddy Stunty Rock Confusion. We now have this live stream in French on Les Codes du Pif, if you speak French. And yeah, we took some break. We took some time off. And so not sure about tomorrow. So let's see. It's like still in the winter vacation mode or status, whatever. So yeah, you should really, you should. Great, really, really great person. Um, lots of knowledge, very humble, also keen to discover new stuff, so which is pretty cool. And hey, hi, encore un vinyle de trop. Really like your name. Yeah. So feel free, as I said, to join my panel. Um, yeah, if you want to, I will invite you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's tough. There is this other live stream with Pinup, a good friend of mine as well, a good VC friend of mine. I think it's over. I think they started about 2 hours ago. Something. Was I was supportive. I did watch 30 minutes of this show. So hey, we have now 25 people watching. Hi everyone. So yeah, once again, for all the people who just joined, that this is an open mic sessions. There is nothing planned. Usually, I invite some people like one a week before or something. I try to bring some people together. This week, no plan. You are all welcome to pop by, to join the panel, to have a chat with myself. If you want to, there is no yeah, will be you will be more than welcome. So this is the link. Click on that link, join my panel, and then we can have a chit chat about music, about records. So feel free, feel free to join. Oh, you missed the live? Yeah, no worries. So maybe it will be available for to be watched later. And I'm really cannot complain. Doing live streams. I'm really happy with the numbers, with the figures. Sometimes really surprised that people watch it like at a later stage, like catching up. Yep, this is absolutely true. Yeah, and we often discuss, with Stunty, like daily. We have this messenger group. Some yeah, we text like every day with Stunty, with Fred, Big Star 1000 as well. And yeah, it's some other perspective. Those people, they have such a great experience, such a great collection of records, and it's really it's how can I say that, it's a blessing, being in contact with such people. You can learn much more from their experience, their path. And yeah, very loyal guy, very supportive. I think whenever I host a live stream, or Stunty, or Fred is always here. So really cool, really nice. So yeah, I was like, I'll be showing a couple of stuff. I was like playing, this week, something, to discover, or to rediscover. I was like in the French stuff. For instance, I listened to these records. This is Yves Simon, a French singer, songwriter. The reason I rediscover this guy, when I took a trip in France in November, there is this movie on theater currently, French movie, and about us. And I don't even know about the story, but a good friend of mine told me about this movie. Say, hey, lots of action, lots of great music that's served for the movie, because it takes place in the 70s or in the 80s, in France. It's like with anyway, nothing really important about that story, but and they say, hey, this is a playlist, this is all the music you can hear when you watch that movie, and so many classics, so many great stuff, and I'm sure you know that Romeo, blah blah blah. And yeah, they were like, classic stuff from The Cure, classic stuff from Deep Purple, and a song from this guy Yves Simon. And when I listened to that song, and it brought back so many memories, because there were like a couple of songs aired on the French classic rock radio stations back in the 90s something. and I kind of have forgotten about his work, about his contribution. As I say, singer, much more probably influenced by Bob Dylan. Yeah, and what is interesting on this one, this is all sing in French. The title is Raconte-toi. This is a Canadian press, and I think I bought this copy on the same day when I was with Steve. We were like visiting a couple of stores, and on the last store we went to, they had a copy of this one, page 7 Canadian, so 4 US. So you can find it for very very cheap. And it was really interesting. He played with a backing band called Transit Express, I think. Yeah. Anyway, and this band Transit Express, they yeah they tried something like a soul carrier, didn't have a lot of success, but they were like really hard inspired by Mahavishnu Orchestra, Brand X, and they backed this guy. So this is really, like, I would say, a folk, rich folk, not only guitar, voice. You have certain songs, certain numbers, like really simple, but other material. It goes in every possible, direction with some folky beatnik stuff, jazz rock orientated, really, yeah, if you like chanson française, French stuff, folk, this guy. And it's really interesting. The first song on the side B, called Mille aujourd'hui, the 1,000 today, if you would translate. Me, it sounds really à la Gainsbourg, with the way he sings, the backing vocals. It reminds me really, the things are like Gainsbourg, Melody Nelson era, that this kind of stuff. So yeah, if you have some interest in some French folk songs from the 70s, I think this one has been recorded 75, around 75, some mid 70s stuff. Yeah, feel free to give it a fair hearing. So yep. Happy New Year, Mr. Michael. Happy New Year. Hope you did start with style in Japan. I was like, I know you were like hosting some live stream. No, it wasn't you. It was the other other American guy in Japan, like Brian, I think. But yeah, I hope you have a great festive season. Don't know what is the tradition in Japan. I'm not sure what they do for Christmas, for New Year. If they're having some decoration in the streets or new. I know nothing. Know nothing. Would definitely love to go once there in Japan, but I'm not sure what it's like to be in Japan over Christmas. And yeah, hi, Mister Ed. Yeah, you found this very same copy for €1, so roughly uh, yeah, $1, dollar, euro, US dollar is practically the same level. So yeah, it's uh something you can find for very cheap. Hey,
Hello.
hi, Pinape, welcome on board. Glad to have you here.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's perfect, loud and clear.
Yes. So, how are you, French? So, how are you?
I'm doing very very good. I was watching your stream. You did host a stream your still self on your channel, I think 2 hours ago. And I was a little bit afraid because I know some people can be like deciding, French vinyl addict, Pinup, which way. So I think you're over right now. So you're finished with your stream, right?
Yes, yes. My stream is finished now, and so je vais parler. In French, je vais parler avec toi pendant quelques temps.
You will be speaking with me myself for a couple of minutes. Yeah, don't
Yes.
worry. Yeah, don't worry. Even if you don't know the words in French, no one will be punishing you here. It's all good. We are not at school.
Yes. So, do you have new vinyls?
Yeah, as I said, I bought some records before a new year. Not lots of records, certain stuff, but not a lot. You know, maybe four four discs, four records, so quatre, but not a lot. How, how how about you? Did you buy several stuff recently?
Yes. My I make a big video. Hello, hello, Greg,
Greg, hi Greg.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
and
Good.
my I make a very very big video, and I show later in the stream.
Okay. So for those who doesn't know, Pinape has a channel, a VC channel. You compose music, you talk about your stuff, and so yeah, you are at the very early age. I think you are at the very early stage. Sorry, of the process of collecting, if I'm not mistaken, right? T'as compris? T'es vraiment dans le début de ta collection. Ouais.
Yes.
So can you tell us about your channel, what you do, the certain stuff you like to post, to share with the community?
Oh, well, so my account YouTube, my channel is very very presentation of music electronic like EDM, breakcore, French
EDM
touch
breakcore.
a
Okay.
little, and so I show rock prog, uh,
Progressive rock. Yeah.
trip hop, trip hop,
Hmm.
and I make a drone music ambient. I try,
You
so I'm
compose.
not.
This is your own work. You compose, right? Your own
Yes,
creation. Yeah.
y- yes, I compose on since MIDI. I think it's name of
The platform or the program you're using to compose. Yeah, I'm not really familiar. That's a software something or a
yes, yes,
yeah
software. I
software.
compose on Reaper, and I'm not. I'm not Basinski. I'm not Brian Eno. So I starting. I starting.
Yeah, sure. But you already have uploaded a couple of your own creations on your channel. I think. Can we talk about a whole album or an EP or a certain songs that are available on your channel? Est-ce
Uh,
que c'est
uh,
l'album complet qui est sur ta chaîne ou si c'est juste quelques chansons?
oh no! Oh no! 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 It's full EP, full album, and
Mm.
yes, I create sometime tracks. Surtout l'année dernière, je faisais pas mal de tracks.
Okay, so mainly last year you were composing and putting a lot of stuffs online from yeah.
Maybe you can put a link in
Sure,
the chat. That would be great.
sure, I will.
People can check it out.
I will. How are you, Greg?
I'm okay. I think I told you last night I had a concussion over the holidays, so
Yeah.
it's been a bit. Every time I think I feel better, I don't.
Yeah, it can
So
last. It can last. Do you guys have lots of snow in Toronto?
we just had some actually last night, but it's just been cold, huh?
Yep.
Same in Montreal. It's been really
Uh,
cold, so
yeah.
I wanted to go out. So with a concussion, and then also just every time I look outside, it's
Yeah.
pretty unwelcoming. So I thought I'd pop up and say hi for a little bit, see
Yeah,
how it goes. You know.
it's
How
really
about
appreciated.
you? So yeah, I was listening to you earlier talking about. Did you say that you went out to buy some to check out some record store?
Yeah, as I said, I went out in prior New Year, something in Montreal. I had to make a gift for a good friend of mine. So it was Cheap Thrills. That's the name of the place.
Cheap Thrills. Yeah, the one
Cheap Thrills
downtown by McGill, right?
downtown,
Yeah.
correct. And I was
That's an
never
old
there.
building, isn't it? Are they still in that
Yeah,
old
it's
building?
it's pretty
Yeah.
surreal. That's the Medical Street, and
Yeah.
they tore down all the old architecture buildings, new skyscraper, new buildings like
Yeah.
glass, iron stuff,
Yeah.
and in the middle of the street you have this old
This old
mansion type
Montreal
of stuff,
house. Yeah.
Montreal,
Yeah.
exactly. And this is where the store is located. So looks like very old institution, Montreal's
Mhm.
record stores. So
Mhm.
I went there for the very first time, and so I buy it for my friend. So he's starting his collection as well. So I brought him the Closer by Joy Division, and yeah, I could find
Good
some.
selection. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I could find some stuff from the French folk stuff. Folk.
Yes, I've only been in that store once over since I may have told you I went to University of Montreal many years ago. But so I popped in there maybe 2 years ago, and I was
Okay.
surprised. They had a nice selection of what's the section they would call it in Montreal? Francophonie, peut-être.
Oh, it changed. It changed.
Mm,
I often
mm.
talk about the fact that in good stores in Montreal you have a very decent Franco section. It has to
Okay,
be in
Franco.
the Franco stands for francophone,
Right.
and it's the same. It is at the same place you can find both Québécois artists display alongside with a French artist. So it's a French music.
Mm,
French rock, French jazz, French whatever. You have a harmonium with Brassens. You have Brel with a French
mhm,
Québécois singer.
mhm.
In Chip Trails, maybe management has changed. I don't know why, what, but they don't have that Franco sections any longer.
Oh,
Where
that's a shame, isn't it? That's a loss,
it
especially
is
in
so.
Montreal. Yeah.
It is so they have a very good hip hop soul metal section, but Franco, you can find
Yeah,
French music, but
maybe
it's
they're
old school.
having younger folks like Pinape show up, right? Looking for
Probably. But
hip hop and other stuff like
behind the
that.
counter, they were speaking English, and Montreal is a
Mm,
bilingual. Which we shouldn't
mm,
say that. We should say Montreal is français. It's
mhm.
not français. It's
Looking for
west on the
the
West Island.
anglais.
It's
Yeah,
anglais.
yeah,
So I thought maybe okay, maybe because those guys are anglophone, maybe that could explain the fact that we don't find any longer a Franco
yeah.
section.
Could be.
Could be,
And
yeah.
Pinap, do you know any groups from Quebec? You're in France,
French.
yes?
No,
No.
I know you this YouTuber Canadian. So I follow the American YouTuber like Fontano, like Bito, Romuald. What is the name of big YouTuber for a million
Ma-
subscribers?
Maslov? No.
Yes, I think I don't know.
But I
So
think
sorry.
Greg was
And
asking.
so I follow this American YouTuber
Yeah, but I think
a little.
Greg was asking
Mais je
you
parle de musique, les
if
groupes.
you knew about des groupes la musique québécoise.
Ouais, ouais.
Oh, so sorry. Yes, I understand a little English. No. Godspeed, you back emperor.
Godspeak Black Emperor. There we go.
Okay.
We talk about that one.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Nope.
Hold on, I make you big.
So Godspeed, you black emperor. Yes. So sorry. Godspeed, you black emperor. It's rock prog dark ambient band. So they started in 1997. In
1997.
97, and
Yeah.
yes, it's very very orchestral. Also, it's very very good band.
Mm.
Do you know about this
Uh,
band, Greg?
No, I don't. I'm trying to think of who. Well, of course, Arcade Fire is from Montreal, aren't they? But
Yeah, they are, but
they're not
the-
Quebecois. They're
I'm not familiar
American.
with they are all whole catalog. But Pinape recommended me the first album, I think. And
Mm,
when I heard this
Mm.
one on Spotify, I had the feeling it's very post-apocalyptic, post rock, post-apocalyptical stuff.
mhm.
Uh, they have, I think they have a word of their of a universe of their own.
Yeah, I quite like some of the early Cœur de Pirate.
Cœur de
She's got a
Pirate.
beautiful voice. I know she is quite. Have you heard of her? Pinape Cœur de Pirate. Elle est assez populaire à la France aussi, je crois.
Oui.
She's very popular
Oui, oui.
in France aussi,
Yeah.
aussi as well. You know.
Yeah, she's. Tu connais Fleur de Pirate, Fleur de Pirate, Cœur de Pirate,
Fleur.
Pinape, Fleur de
Ouais.
Pirate.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure if she's
Oui, je
touring much
connais. Yes,
anymore.
yes.
Yeah. So popular folk. My sense in Quebec is there's a lot of really good folk music. Right?
Yeah, folk.
Much more akin to, I would say, in the Canadian music scene to let's say to Atlantic Canada, right, where there's a long heritage of folk music as well, Celtic influence folk music.
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons is why I was in Gaspésie last summer, and this is where a lot of Irish people settle. And
It's
they
beautiful there. Yeah.
and speaking of not Irish but Scotland, hi Jack, welcome on board.
Hey there, Romeo. How are you?
Yeah, and yeah, Gaspésie was interesting because I think lots of people were telling the boat had sunk sometimes, so the old instruments they could rescue, before swimming onto the shore, were the smaller instruments, the flute sometimes, and this is
The
why.
fiddle, maybe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you are in a typical rigodon Québécois party, and it's almost the same as in Ireland. You can really feel
Oh,
the similarities. Yeah,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah.
But can I show it? Do you mind if I jump in, Romeo, and show just a couple
Sure.
LPs, because we're kind of talking about Quebec and
Yeah.
and Canada, and I've been trying to find some time to do a stream on my own channel about jazz venues in Canada, because of course in the history of jazz, particularly in the United States, but also in Paris, there are some very popular, iconic
Club.
clubs. Yeah.
Clubs, yeah.
Of course, in Toronto, there's Massey Hall, which is very well known. But outside of Massey Hall, there are very few clubs that are recognized on the international stage. But I think what's been really interesting over the last, I think 3 or 4 years, where jazz is starting to be reissued quite a bit more, particularly with regards to tapes that have been found, right, in the archives. Some of these clubs have really, I think, become much more prominent. So I just wanted to talk just really quickly.
Take your time. You're here for that. You can show any records you want
about one very small club. It's gone now. And I was out in British Columbia, in Vancouver. When was I out there? In October, and I just didn't have enough time. I wanted to pop into they have a beautiful library in the city of Vancouver. It's like a round library. It's like something from Greece or something. I'm not an architect, but anyway, and I wanted to do some research on this. Thanks, Ramu. On this club here, it's called Oil Can Harry's. Have you heard of this, anyone? Probably not. So this is a club right in the downtown of Vancouver. And this is Ahmad Jamal. This LP was released, I'm going to say about a year or two ago. And it's a live recording from the pianist Ahmad Jamal in 1976. So that came out a couple of years ago. And there's another one too. I've started to collect these LPs. So some of them actually, I've got a number of Ahmad Jamal's other LPs. I'm a bit more selective when it comes to Bill Evans, but he also has an LP that was recorded. Does that one look familiar? That one came out. I think it was a Record Store Day
Yeah, I saw that one in
release
Montreal.
by
Yeah,
Kraft. Yeah, so
yeah.
they produced quite a bit of these. This was recorded again in the same club, Oil Can Henry's. In which year? So this came out in 2020, but it was recorded in 1975. So the club was really, its heyday was, I think, from the early 70s till 78 or something like that. And then there's also one. I think it might be on the same label on Kraft by Grant Green, who I'm a big fan of, the guitarist, the jazz guitarist, Grant Green. And I haven't tracked that one down yet. And that was also a Record Store Day release. I think could have been the same year, 2020, maybe 2019. And it was when his jazz recordings, his jazz guitar recordings became more popular. So roughly from 1965 to 1975. And Grant Green also played at Oil Can Henry's as well. So not very much is, if you Google it, Oil Can Henry's Club Vancouver, you'll see a few articles written here or there, but not a lot is known by it. But I just thought maybe now's the time to start to kind of drill down into some of these histories and tell stories about these long forgotten, well, not so much anymore, forgotten clubs that played a really important role in the history of music in Canada and Western Canada, and also to bring jazz artists who were struggling to make a living in the early 1970s in particular, so that they could come to Canada, add Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, these other cities north of the border to American tours. So that's kind of what's one of the things that I've been thinking about lately, is this kind of little mini research project. So I'll let you know when I pull that together and upload that. Thanks, Romu.
Yeah, you're welcome. As I said, jazz is a whole world. Is a whole world, and it's funny. I made this video. It's not a great video at all.
Yeah, I just saw it. That's kind of what
Yeah,
triggered me to jump up and say hi.
and I had a comment from a French guy. He was like, hey, at the first, when we do some jazz video, we first apologize for not being an expert, and it's true. It's true. We don't want to say some bullshit, because we have a deepest respect for the genre, for the people who love that.
I say a lot of bullshit, but I think people know me by now, or some people know me. Yeah. I don't think there are that many people who are here to to claim that they're experts on the history of music. That's not my thing. But
No,
I just think it's a really interesting history. Walk by the site that's now a restaurant downtown Vancouver, and it just sparked my imagination. So it's a fun small side project.
Yeah. Is there any difference between eastern part of Canada and western part? I mean, by the numbers of those clubs, how important they were back then.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess. Well, I grew up for a while in Vancouver, so in the mid, kind of the early to mid 80s, and I realized out there that's a very different, has a very different relationship to the music industry out there, particularly live music.
Mhm.
And many of the groups, and at the time when I was younger, I was into punk music, right? So many of the bands that would come to Vancouver would be from California. Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And also, Alberta, brought in Alberta a little bit as well. Right. So a lot of those kind of West Coast punk bands became part of my vocabulary, became part of my record catalog. Right. So I think that's an important part of Canada, is the regional connections that we also have to the United States through the proximity, through just the economics of touring.
Yeah. You say punk, and Mike is here.
Yeah, as if by
What?
magic. Yeah. You mentioned the magic word, Greg.
Yeah.
Excellent. Bring, take over.
Although sometimes I go through phases of buying jazz records. I haven't bought any for a little while yet, but I tend to buy some of the more sort of out there stuff. You know, people like Ashra.
Ashra.
Not yeah, you know.
Ashra Temple.
Place is a place. Who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
on the top of my head.
I'm getting old. You see, I forget names.
I think I had a stream last year, and I invited some of my pals on, and we talked about the relationship between jazz and punk, right? Because I don't know what it is. Right. I think it could be a generational thing. Mike, it's nice to meet you, by the way.
I think you're probably
but I
right.
think there's something to the kind of aesthetic of a punk, the DIY, and also the music itself, the energy of the music. I think that's probably
yeah. I think you're dead right about that. It's you know, people going off in the direction that they want to go off in.
Yeah.
Rather than rather than following a formula.
Yeah, no rules. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like that.
They are certainly in some extent some relation between jazz and hip hop. I mean, some old school bands from France used a lot of jazz, to sample, but it was like back then. So it wasn't jazz, but they used some 2 or 3 phrasing seconds, and they included that in their song. So this is how I was also introduced to a certain form of jazzy stuff. But
yeah, I suppose bands like Tribe Called Quest and bands like that would use a lot of jazz, wouldn't they?
Exactly,
a lot of jazz phrasing once they'd moved on from soul and
exactly,
and, things like that. I was sorry at the start there. I was having problems with my microphone. I think I'd clicked on the StreamYard link and at the same time had YouTube on as well. So I had voices coming from all angles. And then after a couple of beers, it was very disorientating. It was almost like, I don't know, listening to Aphrodite's Child again. I was getting bombarded by sounds from every direction. And I've got this, like, my computer's like balanced on a shoebox. I'm not set up for a live stream here at all. So it's bear with me.
It's the YouTube thing. Yeah, you have to mute YouTube, otherwise you get feedback.
You mute your YouTube and then use your StreamYard kind of window.
Yeah,
is that what you do?
You don't need the YouTube anymore. You have you can completely close the tab, the YouTube tab.
It was very, very disorientating and very off-putting. So I apologise for that. What an entrance! I'll say hello. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Is it Pinape?
Pinape.
Greg, and good to see you as well, Mike. Happy New Year, Romuald. I hope
Happy New Year, Jack. Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What is your relation with jazz? I know it's not something we all discuss. Maybe Greg is more
very, very, very limited. I've got I know like a few of the big albums, some of Miles Davis's big ones, Sketches for Spain and Kind of Blue and stuff like that. A little bit of John Coltrane, a little bit of Mingus, but really limited. I'm talking about like 7 or 8 of the kind of big well-known albums. And sometimes I think that I would like to delve deeper and kind of try and discover more. But then other times it's like where to begin. I kind of felt like that.
Overwhelming. Yeah.
Like there's so much garbage hip hop out there, and to find the good stuff, you've really got to delve deep. And sometimes, for me, I feel that a little bit with jazz. I don't really know where to start. And I've got a friend who's a working jazz musician. He's travelled all over Europe. He plays the upright bass, and he gives me little pointers and tells me a little bit. But I think there's that much other stuff that I want to explore that it probably comes a bit further down the ladder for me, and kind of things that I'm interested in. But okay, I'm open to it. As you probably know, I'm open to anything. I'm always willing to give anything a go, and I like things with a jazz influence, like some of the prog that I listen to, or some of the psych that I listen to has that little bit of jazz influence as well. You know, obviously bands like Nucleus, or even I was listening to some Fallen Angels, the first album, and there was little elements of, I wouldn't say jazz, but it was almost like they'd definitely been listening to jazz artists, or if you listen to someone like the Byrds, and you know, a lot of that kind of modal guitar work that they played, that was influenced by John Coltrane. So a lot of the music I suppose I listen to is influenced by jazz, but it wouldn't be maybe high in my priorities to listen to it. But I could listen to it, and I would enjoy it. I'm sure there's things out there that I would really enjoy. I just probably don't know about them, you know.
Do you listen to the French band Magma, for instance?
So they're a band that are on my radar. There's someone in the UK, VC. Who is it again? He always sits on a very ornate sofa when he shows his records. Mike will probably know who it is.
Oh, the really out there sight guy, or is it sounds from the West Coast?
I know who you're thinking of.
Yeah,
not that guy. I think he's like Take 444 or something like that. He's called. Not that guy. It's he's not posted for a while, or I've not watched his videos for a while. But he's showed Magma a number of times.
Is he from the UK, Jack?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
It's not south from the West Coast, is it?
I think it could be, yes.
Yeah.
An older chap. He quite often sits on his sofa when he does his videos. He's showed Magma a number of times, and quite intrigued to listen to them. But would I be right in saying, are they quite jammy? Are they?
Magma is
improvisation.
Yeah, is something very like prog, but very complex with some very special atmospheres. And the reason I'm mentioning is because the founder, Christian Vander, he was really into John Coltrane. Was massively crazy about that, and maybe the first source of inspiration, a massive source of inspiration, but it's not jazz. It's Magma. You have to.
Yeah. Another one to add to the want list.
Yeah. So many. And plus, when
they're a bit of an acquired taste. I think you have to work on it a bit. I think in order to sort of really appreciate what they're doing.
Would they be along the same kind of lines as someone like Guru, something like that? Or a little bit more electronic, maybe?
Although Guru are more sort of krautrock.
Yeah. Not really. I think Guru is probably more upbeat.
Yeah.
You have to try.
I'll give them a listen.
Yeah.
I mean, another prog genre that's very, very close to jazz, of course, is a Canterbury thing.
Yep.
And you mentioned Robert Wyatt the other day, didn't you, Ramon?
Yeah, the Rock Bottom album. Yeah. And I was lucky to find another great, very underrated, in Sonic Boom, a record store in Toronto. Ruth is Stranger Than Richard. That's the one he made, I think, a couple of years after. And it's pretty hard to describe. It's like the jazz video I did yesterday. I was like, how can I talk about those records? So, and I think when you don't have the whole picture, you don't like expert, you can only talking about your feelings when you listen to certain stuff. When you listen to Robert Wyatt, the fragility, the sensitivity he had, it's not like we are performing, this is the discussion I had with Stunty, when we talk about progressive rock, the classic progressive rock scene, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, LP, Genesis, yes, and the Canterbury scene. They were not hero; they were totally opposite. So but it's a branch on their own. I think it's a separate closet, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing about YouTube. I think it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it? You get to hear about all this new music, and then you have to go out and buy it.
Yeah.
Is that Phil Collins coming back? Pinape, c'est populaire maintenant? Is it popular
Yes.
again?
Oh, from my generation, no. So the face value for me, it's a very, very incredible Phil Collins album, and but seriously also. And yes, Romuald, so sorry, I'm speak French, a parlé de Genesis, and je fais le lien avec with face value.
Yeah, since I talk about Genesis, he made the link. He tried to connect because in Pinup's mind, Genesis, Phil Collins, it's like really tied. Even though the Genesis era I was thinking of was more the first era, the Peter Gabriel era, the first years, from Trespass up until The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which is my favorite era of Genesis.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can sort of see the evolution, can't you, in Genesis?
Yeah.
You know that
Yes.
after Peter Gabriel left, for a while the albums were very, very similar to what had gone before, but they were sort of they were embracing sort of popular music a lot more, weren't they?
Yeah.
They weren't quite as esoteric as they started to be.
Yeah, you're right. The first one they made after Peter left was A Trick of the Tail, and it sounds very Peter Gabriel era. I think they even asked him, "Hey, can you come back to sing those parts?" And at the beginning, Phil Collins were intended to sing the easiest song, not the more epic. And finally, okay, I will give it a try. But you're right. The evolution took place throughout several albums and years. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that one. That album with that very iconic, like a middle-aged picture. Yeah, I know, Zebs. Thank you.
But they don't play anymore. They don't tour anymore, do they, Genesis?
No.
When's the
I
last
mean,
time they toured? It's been a while.
Phil Collins is not well, is he?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on? Yeah.
They did a. They did their.
Farewell?
Was it what they billed as their final tour?
Yeah,
And
20.
poor old Phil had to spend the whole time sitting down. He's not well at all.
Mm.
Yeah, 2021. I think it was like a farewell tour or something, and he was like really in not a good shape, like sitting, like sitting on a stool on stage. You could see, yeah, not good. Yeah,
Looking shaky. Yeah.
I picked up something the other day, Romeo, and it made me think of you when I picked it up.
really.
Let me show you this.
I'm feeling like Mazzy right now. Oh dear.
Romeo, I felt that if you wore a kaftan, that
Yeah.
you could pull this look off really well, let your hair down.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
What a fantastic album this is. Have you heard it?
No, not really.
Honestly, so I think this it's a really lame cover, I think. But I think this was released in maybe 1972 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was just before Aphrodite's Child split up. But it's got
Okay.
pretty much is Aphrodite's Child.
Okay.
Without Vangelis. But see the American cover, this is the American cover. The American cover is really psychedelic, and it's quite a psychedelic album. It's a mixture of like psychedelia and traditional Greek folk music.
Okay.
Really, really good. You can pick it up for what, £2, £3, £4 for some nice Vangelis.
Oh,
okay. You convinced me. The reason
Honestly,
that yeah,
it just looks like a rubbish album, but it really isn't. This is
Yeah.
the British cover on Phillips, and it doesn't look the best. But it's before he kind of went full medallion, hairy chest,
yeah. Okay.
housewife's favourite.
And doing shitty mainstream stuff. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But this
Okay.
is really, really good.
yeah.
Okay.
On the Greek Side of My Mind's a fantastic song. Fire and Ice, Lord of the Flies is brilliant. But yeah,
What year is that, Jack? Sorry, did you say?
I think it's 72.
72.
It was
Yeah,
either
I was
72 or 73, but it was
73, yeah.
released. I think 666 was. I think I'm right in saying 666 was recorded before this, but it was put out after this. But it's got like Lucas Sedaris on drums. I can't remember his first name. Kularis, the guy who played guitar for Aphrodite's Child. It was recorded in France as well. There's a lot of French musicians play on it. But yeah, really, really, really good album for like £4 or £5. You can pick it up cheap.
Yeah, this one is also a interesting same era. Evangelis.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Earth.
oh,
Yeah,
my goodness, yeah.
yeah.
It's
Also,
the
like,
first album, Romuald.
yeah,
First.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. You can still have these 666 influences, but where it goes like a little bit further, including like Oriental influences like esotericism. Yeah, it's and also having some signature, because if you just show Blade Runner or the song Pulsar, for instance, which he composed at a later stage, you can still recognize some patterns, some signature sounds from Vangelis he will be using later. This one is great, but I never know about this the one you showed, Jack. I will give you a listen, because I
It's
grew
really
up
good.
with the shitty stuff he made. My parents has lots of records, and please,
So I
you
was the
know,
same.
yeah,
My mum and dad had all the shitty ones.
Yeah.
This is actually my mum and dad's as well, and I kind of lumped that in with the rest of the dross. And then I started reading about his time after Aphrodite's Child, and there was people on the internet talking about how this was real cheap heat. It was a really good piece of kind of psychedelia mixed in with this traditional folk sound, and you shouldn't dismiss it because of his kind of later stuff. But yeah, I've been really impressed by it. I really like it, and I picked up
okay,
another Vangelis album as well. It's an
sure.
early one, and it's very jazz influenced. It's called I think I've only listened to it once. Is it called High? I'll try to look for it in Wikipedia. Is it Hypothesis? It's called. I think
Probably.
it's got like a very sci-fi style. I'll go and dig it out in a minute. Let's see. Yeah, Hypothesis. It's called. I picked that up the other day, and it's kind of like one side is kind of experimental jazz, and then the other side is kind of kooky, kind of 60s sounding, or kind of late 60s, early 70s kind of groovy instrumental music. So it's a bit of a strange one. There's no singing or anything in it. But yeah, not as good as the Demis Roussos. But each time I pick it up, I think, Romeo, get yourself in a caftan, let your hair down.
Yeah, I will. I
You've got the
will.
whole look.
Yeah. That would be fantastic. That could be your image from now on. Yeah.
Should
Do it.
I have to change the accent as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what you were saying about Demis and your mum and dad sort of liking him, because my parents were very much into Demis Roussos, but the later stuff, and
Yeah.
my early memories of Demis Roussos is him on sort of Saturday evening variety programs singing god awful ballads.
What's
And
the name
I
of the
was
big band he had?
absolutely amazed when I found out he was in Aphrodite's Child.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was reading a little bit. It was the kind of break, the fallout between him and Vangelis. It was to do with kind of, was it Vangelis wanted to go that kind of avant-garde experimental route, and Demis Roussos wanted to go the more commercial kind of pop route. And
Yeah.
I've not actually heard the early. I'm sure you've heard them, Romeo. The early Aphrodite's Child albums. I think they're quite poppy, and I don't think they're as maybe as experimental as 666.
Uh, don't know about that one.
It's
Never heard.
what's it called? Is it? Oh,
Because
they're more psych pop, I think, rather than
yeah, because they made
proggy.
also some poppy stuff in the 60s, Aphrodite Childs, under the name Aphrodite Childs. It's not only about the 666 album.
Yeah.
They played they had sound like Rain and Tears, something like that, which is like in a way psychedelic, Procol Harum kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's something to recommend them, then, isn't it?
So,
Yeah,
so what reminded you
a bit
of
like
Romeo with that cover? Was it the front cover or the back cover picture?
Yeah, I think it was the beard.
Yeah, but which picture? The front picture or the back picture?
Take your pick.
That one's better. That's more flattering, isn't it?
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you could take that Romo and kind of
small
jazz it
channel
up a little
small
bit, use it
channel
for
over
your-
here.
yeah.
We don't have ego. Everything will be fine. Everything's
Well,
good.
There's
No
ego
drama.
and then there's good hair, right?
Yep, exactly.
I'm just jealous because I don't have the hair to pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, come on. You're doing all right.
Oh no.
But yeah, talking about stuff we don't. I think when I don't know how comfortable you think, and I think that's the reason why some VC channel they stick in a certain genre, because they have the reflex. You have the ability to talk about certain stuff that and it might be scary, to embark upon another topic you're not that familiar with. I don't know how you guys. But
Another genre just means more records and more buying and where's the space to put it all? I think that's part of it. No, kind of.
I quite like that with John the 6-inch pianist's soul tag. I really struggle to say that, but I thought that I enjoyed doing his soul tag because that's maybe not a genre that I've really spoken about much, or I do like it, but I'm not so familiar with it. But I really enjoyed doing his soul tag. It was a lot of fun, and it was great to kind of dig into my old soul records. So like you said, it's a wee bit out of your comfort zone, isn't it?
Have those popped up in price yet? Do you think, Jack, the soul ones? Even the early 70s. It seems, at least here in Toronto, they're still pretty accessible price wise, right?
Yeah.
Most of mine are £4 or £5.
Yeah.
I think that Curtis Mayfield Roots one that I showed.
Yeah,
it's maybe
quality wise, sound. They're excellent recordings, right?
Yeah,
excellent recordings.
Yeah. I think it's quite strange. I mean, I was at a record fair this morning, and certain genres tend to sort of have really sort of jumped in price, over the years, whereas others haven't. And I think soul, in general, tends to be very reasonable, really accessible, whereas reggae, original sort of reggae albums are very, very expensive nowadays.
Collectibles, for sure. And blues as well, don't you think? Blues, soul, and blues.
Yeah.
Well, blues is starting to change, I think, a little bit, but very, very affordable. You're right. It's I'm not exactly sure why, Mike.
I've kind of found that the blues albums can be expensive, but the blues comps are always really cheap, aren't they?
Yeah,
cheap chips.
Yeah.
Maybe part of it is around speaking about genres. I don't know if it's necessarily like this at record fairs, Mike, but in a lot of newer record stores, you have this rare groove kind of catch-all genre, right? It seems like soul doesn't necessarily fit into that, or blues. It kind of starts more with the fusion and disco and stuff like that, right? Not Johnny Cash though.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's one hypothesis.
Yeah. I mean, there are all sorts of there are all sorts of sort of labels for music, and I can't really keep up with it. And one of them that I've never really understood is when albums are classified as left field. And I'm not quite sure what that means.
Or shoegaze.
Electronic, kind of strange electronic music. Is that left field?
Well, that's the thing. It isn't really. I mean, in the sort of my sort of local record shop that that sells sort of like new vinyl, they have sections for electronic music, electronica, blues, everything, and then there's punk, psychedelic, and then there's left field, which seems to sit
yes.
somewhere near indie.
Yeah.
Do you think that as well? I mean, have you come across this? Yeah. So what does it mean?
So, gentlemen, do you know this artist?
No, hold on, I'll make you big.
Venetian Snares. It's
I don't know.
breaker. It's a breaker artist. The breaker. It's many genre of electronic music. It's a very very aggressive music. And Venetian Snare come from the Winnipeg in the Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a very very interesting musician because the rhythmic is very very complex. So I recommend this hippie hospitality. It's very very good.
So what's it called again? I've missed it. What's the album called?
Venetian.
All right.
Tu peux le rapprocher s'il te plaît de la caméra? Hospitality. Venetian.
Hospitality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
So someone has the definition, Mr. Zeb.
Yeah. You see, I don't think that fits in. At least not with my local record shop, Zeb, because dub, house, ambient, they're all there with their own sort of in their own sections. But
they have their own categories. Yeah, I was going to say
there's
that
this
too.
thing called left field, and it sits sort of like close to indie, I think. And I'm really not sure.
I thought you were going to say it sits near the door, near the exit, or something.
I prefer this definition from David. It's much more,
that's more like it, David.
Hi, Nick.
Hey.
Yeah. But yeah, meaning going to discover another genre. Yeah, it definitely means buying more records. Yeah, and budget is not extensible, so that's
yeah. But I think rather than sort of be reticent about sort of showing the stuff and talking about it, I think you just admit that you're not an expert, and you tell people what you feel about the music, how you connect to it, how it grabs you. Yeah. I think that, I mean, that's what I like when people are sort of have this kind of enthusiasm about what they're listening to.
Yeah, you're right. We complain. No, we don't complain. But Pinape is part of the French VC, and we had a discussion about the differences between younger people in France showing a picture disc, and my disc is blue. I'm exaggerating, and it's much more interesting to grasp what is the guy's feeling. Why does he have these specific records? What does he wants to talk about that? And to make you want to rediscover the record if you have, or give it a try if you never had.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you live in a place where you can go see live music, that's probably the easiest way, I think. And for me, the most engaging way, coming back to what you were saying before, Romu, about feeling the music, checking out new genres, taking a chance, getting into it, and also supporting maybe local bands, right? Or small touring acts, right? Because it's much harder to make money on sales these days. So that's what I tend to do. We've got 2 or 3 interesting clubs in Toronto. You pay $5, $10, $15 to the band, and I just check them out. If I'm up for going out, I just check out who's at these interesting clubs, listen to them online, and if they sound good, I try to go. Do I buy their stuff? Maybe, but usually not. But it's a fun night, and you can kind of branch out, right? Because I don't have the space to branch out anymore, the budget necessarily anymore.
I would love that, Greg. I would love that opportunity. Yeah. Unfortunately, where I live, there's no venues for young bands at all. Like, I grew up in the west of Scotland, where I'd go and watch young bands playing all the time, and that's like the most exciting thing for me. Where I live now, all the venues, all of them, it's all about tribute bands. So it's a tribute band for ABBA, or a tribute band for the Bee Gees, or even tribute bands for the Smiths or the Stone Roses. I can't be bothered with any of that. For me, it's like the death of creativity. And really, it's a real shame, I think, because I'm like yourself. I would love to pay just £5 and go and watch a band of 17 or 18-year-olds.
Yeah,
You know, just come up with something new rather than people.
exactly.
You know what it is? It's like a mixture of Halloween and karaoke. It's the worst possible thing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love that. I'd love to be able to just go and watch a band on a Thursday night, a young band, up and coming band.
It is. Yeah, you're right though. It's a lot of that's restricted to the bigger cities or smaller places that, you know, where they have a touring venue. My parents live down in Shropshire, right, in England, and I guess it's, you know, it's a popular kind of touristy town, right? It's a market town. So
good cheese. I think cheese is good there.
They do have good cheese there. Yeah. So they're able to kind of bring people through the town hall theater there. And that's it. That's pretty much all they have there. Right. So but that might be enough, right? You know, just to kind of see things coming through.
There's a real joy, isn't there, Greg? If you you know, you go to see a band and you don't know what they're going to be like, and there's a real joy when you discover a new band that are really fantastic.
Yeah, and actually, I just like to listen to maybe one or two of their songs online, and you're right, Mike, and have that kind of hopefully serendipity. You know, the serendipity of the show is like, well, yeah, these guys are pretty interesting, or they went in a way that I wasn't expecting them to go based upon the stuff I saw on YouTube in 2019, whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
Welcome on board, Mr. Geordie boy.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. I thought I'd pop in for a short while.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I saw Mike and Jack, and I thought, I've got to come in and see these guys.
Yeah.
Respect to the other guys too.
Yeah, nice to get the opportunity to have a chat with you, with all of you. I think this is what I love about live streaming. Just a chance to hook up and have a bit of a chat, isn't it?
It's good, but Romy, have you got an agenda for tonight's discussion?
Not really. It's all free. No, as I said, I was like sending out a couple of messages before Christmas saying, "Hey, I will be hosting a live stream. When? I don't know." And I did like 0 responses. Then we had a call with Stunty, and then I say, "Okay, I will do a first stream of the year without any, you know." I know you and we worked out on the list.
We did.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, but I do like do certain live stream as like that, you know, having a certain topics pretty fine in advance, and sometimes it works without, you know, depending on the mood. You know, Mike just got back from the fair, maybe he will be showing his record and then we will be chatting. No rules.
Well, I think that, I mean, you know what I like when it comes to putting like an agenda together, because most of us waffle on far too much anyway. So it's nice to have something to fall back on.
True.
Yeah. We all like a bit of structure in our lives, don't we?
Well, indeed, because I mean, I have plugged into a couple of live streams in the last couple of days, and most of it's like dead air. You know, it's like, what the hell's? I'm sitting there waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, sometimes.
Anyway.
Anyway,
I just saw you pop up just 10 minutes ago with some talk about Aphrodite's Child and Vangelis and the bargain bin supremo Demos Roussos, and I thought, oh, that's interesting.
You as a prog guy, just like myself, maybe to a certain extent. What is your feeling? You often comment that if the band was not an English-speaking band, or they didn't sing in English, or were not like popular in Britain, wasn't really under your radar. What is has it changed?
No, I mean, firstly, a couple of things. I mean, I grew up with progressive rock, listening to the Alan Freeman rock show on the BBC in the UK, which was amazing. But there was so much stuff coming out. I've got that one too. So much stuff that was coming out that it was there was like a flood of music that just happened to be English speaking and or instrumental. And I think these guys, they call it first mover advantage. They managed to get in there, establish their place in the market, and went big international. So it became harder for the Italians, and even harder still for the French prog bands to go beyond their country's boundaries. And I think, I mean, I moved on. I mean, I still listen. I mean, I've never moved on and left certain genres behind. But what I've done, I've added more to it. And as more stuff comes along, like jazz, you know, you lift your head up after 3 or 4 years and you've got a couple of hundred albums. And so you kind of just keep adding different genres as you go. But so I've not dedicated myself to, say, prog. And so my exploration of, say, French prog and beyond is very, very limited.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about prog because, you know, like you, I grew up, you know, in the early 70s listening to prog. And what I really probably at the time imagined was the whole sort of prog world was just one tiny little English-speaking segment of it. And it wasn't until probably about the 1990s when I started buying a lot of prog CDs, primarily by European bands. And, you know, it just opened up a whole new world of, you know, progressive music that was always there, but was just sort of hidden from me for some reason.
Yeah, well, it wasn't marketed in the UK, was it, Mike? I think that's part of the
Well,
issue.
that's right. That's right, because it was Yes and Genesis and Floyd, you know, all the stadium.
I'm going to say even until the mid to late 80s, the markets were still, what's the word, kind of geofenced to an extent, right? So I lived in just outside of London up until, my memory is so bad now, 81, 82. And then I moved back here to Canada. And I was stunned because all of the music that was really popular in 80, 81, 82 was just released in Canada. So I had to listen to the same albums over and over. It was horrible. And, you know, you can sit around and you know, sing along to them and impress the girls in high school and stuff like that. But it was horrible because it was like a, you know, like a redux. Nothing was new. It was Boy George and Duran all over again. Horror show.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
I'm going to have to run, everyone. So I'm so sorry to have to.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yes, great to see you, everyone, and meet Jack, Pinape, Mike.
Bye.
Take care, Greg.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah.
Just add something else. I think one of the reasons why French and Italian prog struggled internationally, particularly French, is I think by the time it was really going big, the other markets were already saturated. So Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Floyd and Genesis and Yes just hoovered up all the spending power of the potential audience. And so it needed the people who are obsessed with prog to continue buying kind of neo-prog albums in the 80s, 90s and beyond, because there's still some great music being produced in the last 20 years. Fantastic. But there's only so much you can actually take on.
Yeah, and the other thing in France, we were always one step behind. You know, when you try not to copy a genre, when you have this source of inspiration, it goes 1 and 2 years, and then you discover and a new band form. As I said, I often talk about great albums from the French progressive rock scene, but like released in 1977. If those albums has been released in 74, things has been different. Plus, not enough support from the label and all that stuff. So I can talk about that for hours.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're a case in point, Lord, about sort of like what is so interesting about, you know, YouTube channels, because, you know, you're a sort of a young guy, you know, certainly young compared to me. And you've been showing prog albums that I didn't know anything about, even though it was the stuff I was listening to when I was a teenager. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, because I collecting vinyl, collecting records, that helps. When you travel, just like myself. I came from France, so back in the days, I was lucky. I could go to Germany like once every week, in Switzerland, travel to the UK as well. Discovering YouTube channel, not specifically VC related content, but discovering new music because some guys uploaded that. Plus, reading some books, some really interesting books, you with lots of references, and then your knowledge is expanding. And when you fully dedicated, not fully, when you really investing times dedicated to discovering, to searching for new music and finding some connections, because this guy started a band and when another, blah blah blah. So you can really and then with the internet nowadays, definitely, yeah.
Right.
I have a question for the new wave. So, what do you think for the new Cure album? Do you like it?
Oh,
I love it.
it's marvelous. It's a marvelous album.
Yes,
It's a
very,
real return
very.
to form, isn't it?
Oh, so sorry. No. Continue.
No, I'm
Mike?
just saying. Oh, sorry. Go on. Somebody else.
Well, I would say, I mean, I've been a big fan of The Cure since the early days, and my favorite albums of theirs has been Pornography, and Pornography and Disintegration. Is it Disintegration? Just numbers, names just slipped my mind. That was kind of a return to the mood of those two albums, this new album, and I love the fact that it's really dark, and the themes are very somber, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, I still love Friday I'm in Love and all that sort of business, but this album is just, and I think they made a strategic decision to release something that was very, very, on the face of it, non-commercial, because they've re-established themselves as a serious band. And I think there's going to be lighter albums that are going to be released this year and next.
Okay. So for me, the new album is very, very mix between Disintegrations and Blood Flowers. It's very, very in French, magistral. Romuald, comment on dit?
Yeah, amazing, gobsmacking. Yeah, positive, magistral, I understand.
Yeah, magisterial maybe.
Yes, it's very cinematic and it's very, very good album. For me, it's very, very good.
Yes. Did you watch their live stream on the release date on YouTube?
Some of it.
Excellent, wasn't it? Yes. Absolutely brilliant. I was mesmerized. It was just so polished, and I think what I liked about them is that they've sort of developed, and they're singing music that is appropriate to where they are in, or particularly where Robert Smith is in his life at the moment.
And where the audience is. Old, grey-haired, and in the September of their years.
Yeah. But it wasn't, it wasn't all doom and gloom though, was it? It was quite uplifting, I thought. And it's a fantastic album. It really is.
I need to dig in. I've still only heard one track. I heard one track on the radio, and it sounded good, but I've not heard anything more than that. But I don't think I've hardly heard one person have any negative comments about the new Cure album. So, and I would say generally I prefer like the kind of poppier side of the Cure. But yeah, I'll need to give it a go.
You're too cheery, Jack.
Yeah, I know. Trust you, Nick.
Yeah, I'm pretty much mixed feelings about. I heard maybe the half of the album so far, and for me it's the Forest, Charlotte. Sometimes those era is still in the icing of the
Yeah.
cake to me when it comes to the Cure. I don't know.
I think I would say this album is well, it's like an immersive album. It's not
Oh.
for casual listening, Charlotte. Sometimes, yeah, 12-inch, and
Yeah.
it's 12-inch or the 7-inch.
C'est le 12 pouces ou le 7?
Ah, it's 12 pouces. No.
Non, ça
12
c'est le non, that is a 7. Ça c'est le
7-inch.
7-inch.
Yeah.
C'est
In French,
So-
in French, it's 45 tours. 45 tours.
yeah, we know. Yeah, 45 RPM, but yeah.
Yeah. So the new album I don't think works well on random play or for the casual listener. It has like a cumulative effect listening to it from beginning to end. It's very it's a mood album. So I think to really get it, I think you have to immerse yourself in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Like a prog album.
Maybe.
In many ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good night, gentlemen, and peace.
Yeah. Thank you, Pinape. Thanks for stopping by. Merci d'être passé.
All right.
Bonne
Nice
soirée.
to
Bye-bye.
meet you. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Am I
so
just
now...
chasing everybody away just because I show up? People are leaving.
No. Fine. Yeah.
What
I'm really
have I
glad.
done? What have I
Do
said?
do you guys follow? Because you know I follow Davy's channel and Mike's channel from since I started my own. But
Yeah,
do
I
you
follow
guys
these
follow
guys.
each other's?
I follow these guys. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes, I follow all three of you, but
Okay.
yeah.
Any of you
Good
guys
album.
into?
Good album.
Oh yes.
Beatles and the Stones.
Yeah. I picked this up the other day. I've mentioned on my channel before, I sold all my vinyl, like loads of people, early 90s when CDs come in. And I found that I ended up over Christmas spending an absolute fortune buying albums that I had that I picked up for £2 in the 90s. So I picked this up the other day on Vinted, and it was really nice to get this back in the collection. I think there's some cracking songs on here.
I mean, what's the album like? Because all I've got from House of Love is a 12-inch single.
Yeah, the
Well,
album's
that's all I've
brilliant.
got.
Hedonist is really good. Shine On's a classic. Is that the
Yeah.
12-inch that you've got? Because that was a single as well. Blind, 30-second floor. The album's great. I think the album before this is fantastic. The album
it's
before
good.
this is actually better, I think, than this one. But yeah, I really like House of Love, and I think that'll be one of my maybe little rabbit holes this year. Will be try to pick up some more Creation, some stuff in the Creation label, and maybe some of the bands that I didn't know so well. A band that I keep reading about, you guys might be familiar with them. I've never heard them. Have you ever listened to the Lilac Time?
No.
Yeah. I did back in the day, but I thought they were a little bit fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never actually heard them, but I keep reading about them, and I'll need to give them a wee go, I think.
Yeah. When I lived in Leeds, I saw the House of Love, I think at the university,
Right.
back in around 91 or 90 or something like that.
Right. Oh, you lived in Leeds. Oh, right.
I lived in Leeds for 3 years. Yeah.
Oh, well, were you a student at the time?
No, I was working. I got a.
Oh, right,
job.
yeah.
I'd moved from the northeast to Leeds, but 3 years was just about as much as I could stomach, and I had to come through.
Oh no! Don't say that.
Sorry.
Well, I have to say I've got some mixed feelings about Leeds because I was burgled and my CD player was nicked, along with half of the Van Morrison album, Hymns to the Silence, because one of the discs of the two was in the machine, and there was a trail of CDs up the what do you call the Meanwood Ridge, which you'll know.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was quite upsetting.
Yeah. Did you ever get to the Brudenell?
The where?
Brudenell Social Club.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's
probably not. I did see Maria McKee at the Irish Club. I remember that, but
the Irish Club were always pretty good. But Brudenell is my favourite venue in Leeds, and You know, I've seen so many great bands there. It's one of those venues that is, you know, it's quite intimate. You know, they've got two concert rooms, and you can probably get about two to maybe 300 people in there. I'm not really good at estimating, but you know, so they're always quite small gigs, and it's a fantastic place. Yeah, I used to go there when I was a student in Leeds, and I still go there now.
So
Good. That's good.
So you went Newcastle, Leeds, Birmingham. Is that from worst to best or from west to best?
It's Sutton Coldfield. It's Sutton Coldfield. It's not really Birmingham.
Ah,
Don't mention Birmingham.
it's an international live stream.
No, Birmingham is the it's kind of the one place tourists don't go to. I get in trouble. I shouldn't say things like that around here. But no. But anyway, the Midlands. I've been in the Midlands for 32 years, and it's good. It's good. Enjoy it here.
Yeah. I like
Jack,
it.
I was going to say, Jack, where are you precisely?
I'm between Aberdeen and Inverness, up in the Moray coastline.
So you're not on the tour circuit, then, are you?
No chance. No. If you're into the Red Hot Chili Pipers, then I'm on the tour circuit. But certainly not for anyone better than that. So the Pixies are playing in March, and I missed out on a ticket for the Pixies in Aberdeen. But up here, this is a backwater for live music. It's horrendous. Generally, I get down to Glasgow because my family's all on the west coast of Scotland, and all my pals are still down there. So I get down a couple of times a year. But you know, went to see Vampire Weekend, hence the jumper a few weeks ago, and I saw Nas last year. Other bits and pieces like that. But you know, seeing bands like up and coming bands who are not playing in a big venue, you've got no chance up here. It's just it's terrible. Really terrible. I really miss that. I miss going to see kind of up and coming indie bands, and live bands, and all that kind of thing. So
nice place to live though.
It is. Yeah, it's got nice beaches. It's got nice hills.
Yeah.
You know, I've only got an hour and 45-minute trek to my nearest record shop, so it's all good, you know. I've got to camp out overnight if I want to go to a record shop. It's a nightmare, honestly.
Yeah.
Over hill and dale, and then if I'm lucky, I might pick up a few Acker Bilk records or some James Last. It's just, you know.
Yeah, but on the bright side, there's not much competition when it comes to house clearance sales.
That's exactly it. So that's why I hoover up everything, I reckon.
Yeah.
And I pretty much hoover up, I think, everything in the northeast, because there is no competition. There's not a lot coming up, but the stuff that does come up, I get most of it. And I went to Aberdeen round about Christmas, and my favourite record shop there, Spin Records, which was fantastic. It was a big bar downstairs, a record shop upstairs, and they'd closed down. I couldn't believe it. I went and I'd found out the guy who'd owned it had died, and the massive collection that they had up there got moved down to London. Supposedly he had contacts in London, and it was guys from London sending up all the records, and they all went back down to London. So I went to a new record shop called Made in Vinyl, run by this lady, kind of in the city centre. And I went in there, and it was fantastic. It was a tiny record shop, but it just had loads of rare stuff in it. So the day that I went in, she said, if you come back in 2 days' time on Boxing Day, I'm going to do a 20% off of everything in the shop. So I was kind of looking at, I don't know, Dylan Noble calls it his holy moly wall, you know, like all the kind of star buys. And I was just looking at felt albums, original pulp albums. I picked up some nice psych records. So yeah, that's been a nice find. It's been good to find that. But you know, I'm a good hour and 30 minutes away from that shop, so I've got to make my own fun up here.
Yeah, that's all right though.
Yeah. Anyway, Jack, I thought a couple of months ago you were talking about possibly going into the record shop business yourself, weren't you?
Yeah, that's just one of my harebrained schemes. I've got no see after 22 years in the military, I've tried a bit of this and I've tried a bit of that, and like my wife said to me, just try whatever you want. You've done the same job for so long. Feel free to move around, you know. I've got a bit of a pension and stuff. I'm not really under any kind of financial obligations to work my fingers to the bone. So yeah, I'm going to have a bit of fun, and yeah, I kind of transitioned into teaching, and then I've transitioned back out of teaching, then I've transitioned back into it. And then I thought, oh, what about a record shop? A record shop would be fantastic.
Yeah.
The problem is there'd be no customers. So it would just be really a record shop for me to enjoy. And, well, yeah, my room's becoming like a record shop. I'm struggling. I've got so many flight cases around the room now filled with records that, and loads of them are just rubbish as well. I need to regain my listening space, because I didn't want it to be like this. I wanted the wee bit of selling records on the side to afford what I wanted to buy for myself, and it's kind of got to the point where it's taken over, and it's kind of taken over my wee record room. So I want to get back to actually listening. And I did a video tonight where I just incoherently ramble for like about 25 minutes, and I'm going to put it out after this, because if I put it out before it, people might come off a Romuald stream. So I'm going to put out this video for my like 1 year in the VC. I think I've called it something like the Final Voyage 1 year incoherent birthday ramble or something like that, where I just talk nonsense for an hour, and it basically talks about trying to get back to listening to music rather than kind of always chasing the next thing or always looking for collections, or because that's what I'm kind of missing. I'm finding that I'm not listening to as much as maybe I did before I started making videos. So I kind of
started watching videos.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it takes up a lot of your time, and I do really value all the recommendations, and I talk about that as well, how I feel that it's broadened my outlook, and it's broadened my my kind of knowledge and all that kind of thing, which I really enjoy. And I love the kind of community aspect of it. But at the same time, I'm definitely not listening to anywhere near as much music. I spend more time reading about music, listening about music, and talking about music rather than actually listening to it. Yeah.
When I take a look of the watch time, not my watch time. Yeah, my watch time. Me watching other people's video. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I know.
It's
Yeah.
The big thing for me that I'm probably missing out on even more than listening is reading. I used to read so much about music, and I would read my Mojo magazines every month, and I would read biographies constantly as well. And the last one I read was the Walking with Giants, the Led Zeppelin one. So about Led Zeppelin's career. I'm sure that's what it's called, Walking with Giants, or When Giants Walk the Earth, or something like that. I read that, and that was about a year ago. And then I'm seeing other books. So I'd like to read that Electric Eden. A few people in the VC have shown
got that
one. I would really like to read that book. I think it was yourself, Mike, that showed it.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Because Fred showed it.
Oh, you too.
Yeah. Fred showed it, and a day later, my lad said, "Is there anything you'd like for Christmas, Dad?" So I said, "Yeah, there's a book." So that's what I got.
Yeah,
you made headway into it yet?
I ordered it.
Oh yeah, I've flicked through the discography at the back, and it's very comprehensive.
Yeah.
But no, I'm reading the history of stiff records at the moment.
Stiff records.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've read Hammer of the Gods. Have you read that one, Jack?
Hammer of the Gods.
Zeppelin. Hammer of the Gods, Zeppelin. It's the unauthorized one, which has the dirt in it.
No, I don't think I have read that one.
That's pretty entertaining. I'm told that it's Motley Crue's book is the
I'm reading that one.
Takes it to the next level.
Yeah, the dirt.
Yeah, the dirt. Yeah.
I was thinking of changing to that Romuald. I've read Mojo for so many years. I was thinking of switching to Record Collector.
Yeah.
I
think it's a British magazine, I think.
All right.
It's good.
Cost a fortune over here in Britain.
Who are the post-punk legends that return then? It says at the top, post-punk legends return. Who is that?
Brian Ferry.
How much does it cost you, Romy,
20,
to
20, 20, 21 Canadian dollars plus tax. In the UK, it's £6.45.
yeah.
Ouch. But yeah, it's pretty nice. And I share with you, David, this article. This guy went to visit several record shops
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
UK.
Is it from that one?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the November. Yeah, that's the November release.
Yeah.
And it's pretty nice because it's records oriented. It's not like Mojo. So they have some listing of records plus values, and finding it interesting.
At the moment, I'm reading I'm reading Sean Ryder's autobiography.
Oh, God, I bet that's a roller coaster, isn't it?
It's got the penmanship. It's the penmanship of a 7-year-old. It's horrendous, honestly. Honestly, it's so bad. I'm about 2 chapters in, and he's got to fire his ghostwriter because it's so bad that it's unreal. I don't even think I can finish it.
His ghostwriter was 7 years old.
Yeah, it's like if I have to read one more kind of tale about his drug exploits and drug stories, there's nothing more boring, I think, than to read about somebody else's drug exploits, and it's grim. Really,
Did you read the Bez book?
I've not read the Bez book. No,
I've had that on the shelf for like about 10 years. I still haven't read it yet, but it's supposed to be really good.
I'd love to get to the bit about the music as well, because I'm kind of, his family moved around a lot to different areas of Manchester, and talks about the different jobs that his father did, and his kind of love of clothes, and then his love of music because he had a lot of older siblings. But yeah, it's just the kind of dross in between, because I think the Mondays are such an underrated band. They're a brilliant like kind of funk band, and Paul Ryder was a fantastic musician. But yeah, no, I can't get on board with John Ryder's literary output. No, it's no good.
Sorry to.
But do you not think though? I wasn't a huge fan at the time. I was kind of into the Charlatans and House of Love and all that sort of stuff. And but when I go back to listen to the Happy Mondays, I mean, obviously I was a fan of the Stone Roses as well, but go back to the Happy Mondays and Black Grape and all that. It sounds fresh. It still sounds timeless to me. Yeah. It sounds it sounds better now than it did then to me.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. They probably, I think, like all those bands that you mentioned, I think have really aged well. I think the Charlatans have just been so consistent over the years. They've hardly put out a bad album. Never really maybe hit the heights of, in terms of critical acclaim, that the Stone Roses got, but they've just been real survivors, haven't they? Especially after Rob Collins dying and all that. They've just kind of kept soldiering on.
Speaking, moving back to the previous topic we had with 1982 pornography and all that stuff. Do you guys know about this album, Orchestre Rouge, Red Orchestra?
No.
That's pretty interesting. Martin Hannett produced that one. Yep, 1982. It's a cold wave, post-punk record, and it's a French band, but the lead singer was born in the US, I think. Grandparents from Finland. So half of the songs sung in French, the other half in English. And like really gloomy, with this guitar sounds typical Joy Division-esque-ish.
Yeah.
And but he sings like a really punk, like really raw energy. So it's like a contrast, that is very dark ambiance and the singing part. So highly recommend if you guys are into.
How do you find out about that one? Because obviously it goes way back to 1980, 82 or whatever. But how did you find out about it now?
I had a song, I think, on a playlist. I was looking for French bands, early 80s French bands, and I had the songs in mind. And when I was like flicking through the bins in Den Bosch, I say, hey, Orchestre Rouge, that's kind of ring a bell. Couldn't really remember, but I knew about this band because they were they didn't have a massive success in France. Was not like the big names like Telephone or Trust, the other two bands. So I said, okay, I will grab this one. And when I heard that first song, "Soon Come Violence," I said, "Oh, that's the one I had on the old MP3 hard disk something." Yeah. Orchestre Rouge.
Yeah, Den Bosch. That's where we're going in April, I think.
I know.
Yeah.
With 3 people and a
With
car.
Gavin Rob.
Gavin Rob. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
I
been
don't
on.
know who
I've
else.
been
I
on the
think
fence
John
about
the
going.
6-inch pianist is going as well, but he's going independently. Because I'm taking my car, so I'm taking Rob and Gavin my car, and then
Welcome.
hiya, and then I think John's just coming back from a family holiday, going direct or something.
Right.
I was thinking about doing the same, to be honest. But I'm kind of two minds about it. I've swayed from I'm definitely going to I'm not going to go. It's too much money. To I'm definitely going, and I'm kind of in between at the moment. I'd love to go. My kind of thinking on it though is if it's not the kind of place that you can go with £50 in your pocket. So if you're going to go over, you've got to have a bit of money in your pocket to make it worthwhile as well. So
I'm just going for the crack.
yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
I'm just going to hang out with some middle-aged music lovers, and we'll just shoot the
Yeah,
fun
why
about
not?
music, and I'll let them spend their money, and I'll just I'll take
Yeah.
a few videos.
Well, that's right. There were some great videos from the autumn one, weren't there? And it kind of piqued my interest in the whole thing. And I think it was Jonas Vinyl Stockholm, and I think he met Steve Davis in a bar,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah,
and I thought that is amazing.
yeah.
I spent 2 evenings with these guys, with this guy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, with Steve Davis. Yeah, lovely,
You ever
Legend.
game a pool with him?
lovely person, really down to earth. Yeah.
Back in
And-
the
and
day
you-
when he was famous for snooker, he was so boring. He was
Yeah.
the boring Steve Davis.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think that not just the kind of that was the media's portrayal of him, because everybody in those days, every snooker player had their persona. Ray Reardon was
Yeah.
Dracula, and
Dracula,
Higgins was the hard drinking
Yeah.
crazy man.
Maverick.
Yeah, he was the Maverick, and I think they just needed something for Steve Davis. Steve Davis for me was like growing up watching snooker. Steve Davis was just phenomenal. You talk about the charlatans being consistent. There was no one more consistent than Steve
Yeah.
Davis on the
That's
snooker
right.
table. He was just phenomenal.
Yeah, but I think the whole Steve Davis thing, being boring. I think it was sort of really pushed by Spitting Image, wasn't it? When they did a thing, and sort of Steve was complaining that all the other snooker players have a nickname and he doesn't
Yeah.
have one. And they thought about it for a while, and they go, "Well, how about interesting?"
Yeah. Is he not quite a big DJ now as well? Is he DJs
Yeah, I think
quite
so.
a lot?
Yeah.
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 He's played live as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has
played
a
something really famous.
he has a
in the
project
past-
with a guy from who's like the current leader of Gong, the band Gong,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and a guy from the band Coil. I think I don't know. Stunty, he gave an interview on his channel. So these three people, and he's building up his collection, his record collection. So they were with Stunty digging for new stuff. He could use this for I think his work as a DJ. I think.
Yeah. Is he not originally from like kind of Canterbury area? Because I read an article about him, and he said that growing up in that area, he just became massively obsessed with the kind of whole Canterbury scene, and all these other kind of kids in his school who had nothing to do with that kind of music. He was like the kind of odd man out, and he was kind of into like 70s prog and like Caravan and all that kind of stuff.
And Magma,
that's right.
wasn't it? Wasn't Magma his favorite band for a long while?
yeah. I'm pretty certain it was, but yeah, he's into sort of quite sort of esoteric prog, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
French prog even.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best.
Well, somebody has to be, haven't they?
Yeah.
You're right. Not me. Yeah, no, it's not. What is the best? This is the beauty with Prague when you listen to Italian bands, when you listen to other non-UK or non-European continental, what they brought for their own culture is pretty much, we were talking about Vangelis with all this Greek, with all this Oriental touch. This is what I do like, not trying to copy pasting. Yeah. What's new, Michael?
Well, I know I got a lot of folks here from the UK talking about records and record prices and record stores, and I wanted to show you some things from because I think you might find it interesting, and that is this is this backwards? Do I have to do the
No,
blur
it's
thing?
fine.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
so this is what I'm showing you, and just imagine you're dividing by 192. Okay, that's British pounds to yen.
Oh,
This
Oh.
huge. So what you're looking at is what a Japanese store would pay top dollar for. Okay, for the very best condition. And I'm sitting here thinking that a lot of this stuff is average stuff in your collections, right? Like Exile on Main Street. And this one they're looking for UK original. So they're looking for original pressings. And
wow.
it occurred to me that if you guys, and I'm saying this not only to the panel, but to anybody watching, that if you wanted to visit Japan, a nice way to visit Japan is to pack some records in your suitcases and come and sell them at Disc Union and make some money while you're here, because under $10,000 you don't have to declare it, and you could kind of not only finance your trip, but you can also go record shopping with money that you may not have when you left your house because it's in your suitcase.
Wow.
And I'll just shut up and let you speak.
Okay, I'm rich. I have a top condition. Top condition. I'm rich. That's so cool.
So the
Really
question
glad.
is, do you want to part with it?
Oh.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you often mention that, and it's interesting. It's good to know. Really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Hello.
That's Stunty.
Hi there.
Hey, I just wanted to hop on the. It was funny to hear you guys talk about Steve Davis since I'm wearing a T-shirt he gave me, which is it's the name of his own
Project.
book. So he did like 50 of these just to hype his book that he did with Cavus Torabi to the guy from Gong and Guapo. And yeah, I just wanted to confirm, like, Romeo didn't go in details there, but we went together to Den Bosch, the record fair there, and we went then to see Faust live with Steve, and
Oh yeah.
he was buying beers to everyone. It was pretty fun. He's and it's not that he's really into the esoteric prog. Like, he's done with that. Like, he's still kind of like some of it, but he's into reinventing himself all the time, which is why Geordie or Mike was correct about this whole thing about being boring was like a sort of marketing thing from the media.
Yeah.
Because like when he started to follow me and to talk with me, I had no idea who he was, because like, why would I if you're not like British or into snooker?
Right.
But he told me about it, like how, like, with the first money he got from snooker in the early 70s, he started to buy and to build the best Northern Soul collection you could, and he achieved that. And then he got bored of that, and he's selling it all now, because he's buying avant-garde, musique concrète, electronic, free spiritual jazz. And he loves it. He makes his own music with these guys, He's going to come to my festival next summer to perform for free because that's the kind of guy he is. He knows that he's going to be good for marketing, like for the local media to have like, oh, 6-time world champion of snooker.
Yeah.
And that some people will come just for the wrong reasons. But for us, in the end, it's still a ticket we sell. So, yeah, I just want to give a little more insight on that, since you guys seems to have fun with discussing him, and he's a fun topic. So
Yeah.
I tell you what's interesting about what you just said is that he's abandoning, he's Northern Soul and maybe French prog, and he's left all that stuff behind. I struggled with the notion of leaving music behind for good. I want to hold on to it because I'm going to come back. And I would have thought he's going to come back to that stuff as well, because if you love it today or love it yesterday, you're going to love it tomorrow.
So here's the deal, though. So he's in his 60s, like probably like you, Geordie boy.
Yes, I am.
I assume.
Yes.
So he literally until recently had no knowledge about jazz, or he had knowledge about dad jazz, like.
Right.
But he had no knowledge about free jazz, free improvisation, spiritual jazz, or that. He had very little knowledge about avant-garde, modern classical, electronic. So he doesn't have enough years left to investigate all that. Now, I'm also getting him
Could be being a bit unkind there, Stunty. Could have a good 20 years left.
Well,
He's 60s. You're writing him off a bit early.
Jack, I've been investigating this music for 30 years now, and I'm still like, there's still a lot to discover and to get comfortable with, because a lot of that music is about challenging yourself, and one of the cool aspects of it is when you actually realize, oh, I was just interested in that music, now I actually love it. And sometimes it can take years of it being very rewarding, but that there's always a next level of acceptation, of embracing it, etc. And there's also all the traditional music from all around the world, like ethnographical music. There's so much. So I'm a bit like you, Geordie. Like I still cling on some of the indie I grew up with, but at the same time, this guy has some means that I don't have, that I suspect none of us have, and he's realized that for himself, and about the amount of years he's got left, and that he just wants to have fun, to enjoy, and to still grow. Because I guess, like like one of the best bands named, the Rolling Stones, that's how you never grow old. Like it's when you keep moving. And
see, when you were saying though that he's
so
see, when you're saying he's leaving his other stuff behind, do you mean he's like selling off his collection, his older collection? Or, see, for me that seems quite strange, because obviously, like you said, he's a guy who has means beyond probably all of us.
He
So
created the means by selling the collection. He created capital. He created capital by selling a portion of his collection that no longer gave him joy, and he used it to go on another journey.
Michael, he's a multi-millionaire. He doesn't need the money from records.
But it's an example. It's an example.
Yeah.
Jack, how many
discount, Jack? I think.
Yeah.
How many marriage? How many forces you have behind you, and how many alimonies do you have to pay?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
none. Absolutely nothing. But I mean, this is the thing about music, isn't it? And becoming interested and digging deeper and deeper. It's a journey, and you can never actually hope to ever get to your destination, because there's always something else there on the horizon, isn't there?
Always. I would kind of ever say one of the things that I think maybe I can contribute here is that when we're young, we haven't got a lot of money. We're very selective about what we buy. We wear the albums out, listening to them. We know them intimately. And I think for a lot of us, as we get older, particularly ones who investigate jazz to me, what that trained me was was to appreciate music as it was being made. So I didn't have to listen to it 30 times to appreciate it. And I think that changed my listening habits. And maybe it's changed other people's here and other people who might be watching as well. Is that the music, if you give, I've always said, if you give your music full concentration, you can appreciate almost any music made in the moment. But you have to concentrate. And I think jazz taught me a lot about doing that.
I don't know if it's Michael or Jack who said that, but you used it was perfect in that example. Like with the northern, like he still likes some like prog and all that, but he doesn't need to collect it anymore. He already has all he wants in it. But with the northern soul, I asked him, like when we were in Den Bosch, there were people who knew him because of that, who came to him and asked him, "What did you get?" And they were kind of disappointed or taken back when he showed what he got, which they had no clue what it was. And seeing the joy he had, they kind of probably understood. Because as you said, like it's not that he thinks the music suddenly is bad. It's just that, as one of you said, it doesn't give him the same joy anymore.
Right.
So why cling on to it?
Yeah.
For a random pick 2 years from now, that suddenly you think, oh my God, why haven't I been listening to this in the last 10 years? I think that's why I hold on to stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I hold on stuff only because
why, don't you? You've never heard this before. You know why?
I hold on to all this stuff mostly because I really hope. I think that history is coming to an end, and and I live in a forest on an island, and as long as I'll get my solar panel, so I have electricity, and then I'll be fine.
Your turntable might run slow, but you'll be fine.
Yeah.
He listened to his 45 at the 33 RPM speed anyway.
Still sounds great.
Désolé.
Yeah. Yes. End of days, no electricity, and music just becomes oral history.
There's another reason to let go stuff like that for someone like Steve, like besides the budget, and he's rich for sure, but he's not like a billionaire or anything like that. He lives in fucking Bristol, but it's that he's making music. He buys gear to make music, and he releases records, and the music is great. It's actually like I got in touch with him because or we became friends because I bought his records and I hyped them, and he was so happy to see someone like it, enjoy it, and understand it and propagate it. But so he genuinely is doing great music, like stuff that, like, if his name was not on it, it would be as good, if not maybe even better, because now you always ask yourself, do I have a sort of prejudice or something? I mean, it's fair to ask yourself these questions, or in one way or another. But like, I've done music, I've released a lot of music. When I don't make music, I buy records. If I make music, I have less time to
I think to push yourself forward as a musician as well, you've always got to be listening to new things as well. If you always stick to the music of your past or the music of your youth, it's hard to maybe think about new ideas or explore new ideas, and that's what good artists do, isn't it? If you look at someone like David Bowie, he never stopped moving, he never stopped changing.
Yeah. But when you think about it, you know Northern Soul better than I do, but
No, I
I suspect it is. No, but that shows how little I know about it. I have this suspicion that Northern Soul is still kind of very conservative style of music, in the sense that if you have like 5,000 Northern Soul records, can you find a record of Northern Soul that will push yourself? Is this the kind of music
you
that
mean
you
quite kind of limited in its sound? That Northern Soul as a genre is maybe not as expansive as something like, I don't know, avant-garde music or
there's that, and also that, like, when you got the most forward-thinking Northern Soul. Is there one more pushing border pushing to be found? Maybe not. It's kind of like a comfort zone in a way. Northern Soul, if I understand it correctly.
Well, I would say it's a bit of a movement. I mean, I've been to a few Northern Soul all-nighters back in the day, and I've got friends who were into Northern Soul big style. And I kind of sum it up as really as like obscure soul tracks from the non-major labels. And in my limited experience is I think the guys and gals who really love Northern Soul, they're dying out. And that music, I think, will die. It'll go back into obscurity. Because like you say, there's nothing new coming from that. It's kind of, it is a big nostalgia trip. And I think it's so attached to the experience of dancing all night long. I think these guys and gals can't dance anymore. They're in wheelchairs and such like. So I think it'll die.
And imagine
you don't think there's any kind of youth scene around Northern Soul. I'm not a big connoisseur. I do like it, what I've heard of it, but I wouldn't know if there's a, if you think of something like psych, there's a lot of young people, there's a lot of teenagers who are into neo psych and classic psych, but I don't know if there's anything like that with Northern Soul. I don't know if it's a genre that's kind of beloved of young people,
Well, I think there'll always be a fringe audience for it, but I think that it's a dance movement as much as a music movement.
Yeah.
Whereas
like a way of life, wasn't it?
Listen to that. You kind of you dance and act with Northern Soul music, but you don't listen to it in the way you listen to psych or prog or avant-garde or whatever. There you have to listen. It's a different experience.
All about the passion and the whole weekend experience, wasn't it? As much as actually putting on the records.
It's broadly, isn't it? It's youth culture. It's a subculture, and the thing about Northern Soul is that the people who were into it, the people that were going to Wigan and wherever, sort of like every weekend, they were listening to stuff that other people weren't listening to. It was their music. Very much sort of for want of a better word, it's a sort of tribal thing, isn't it?
You don't want to say it, but it's a cult.
It's right?
Cult.
You don't want to say it, but it's a cult.
No.
It was like the same as the mod revival and the Scooter Boys and all of these kind of subcultures. But I think the difference with maybe the mod revival and the Scooter Boys, the music wasn't as, people weren't after rare records the same. Anybody could pick up a Secret Affair record, or anybody could pick up a Jam record, but those Northern Soul records were going for thousands, weren't they?
I'm sure they still do. But I think if you're into the mod stuff, it takes you into the likes of the Who, and then the range of music that the Who produced is broader than 3-minute kind of rock songs. So I'm not sure where Northern Soul takes you, other than to more psychedelic soul and such like. It might take you in that direction. But I think it's a bit locked in my judgment.
It's youth culture music that grew old in a country that is very proud, and where people are not necessarily where change. I mean, when you think that, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't like The Guardian like the left-wing newspaper in the UK, and it's still called The Guardian. It's The Guardian. It tells you about how conservative the UK still is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The Guardian isn't exactly flying the red flag, is it? So.
Well, I mean, to be fair, The Guardian is what they call a progressive paper.
Yeah.
So it's very woke. It's always been like that. And there's a whole range of newspapers in the UK. The Guardian is in no way represents the culture of the UK. Not in the slightest.
No, I was just pointing out that it's supposed to be progressive, but the name is called The Guardian, which is not a symbol of progressivism.
Well, it's the Manchester Guardian, in fact, which is it's been
that's right,
for a couple of 100 years.
Yeah. yeah, yeah.
Even before
But
Northern
you know,
Soul.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, you know, youth culture in the UK and and elsewhere, you know, sort of really, you know, really, it was the 1950s, wasn't it, when you get the first people who would call themselves teenagers. You know, the people who didn't sort of, you know, they were at school one day and then they left school and then they were working next to their dad next day in the factory or whatever. You know, these were people that had, you know, disposable income and, you know, that they could make their own lives. And, you know, and I think the whole sort of youth culture thing, you know, you go through and Northern Soul is one of the most interesting ones, I think, because it's often lost, isn't it? You know, when you talk about, you know, youth culture, you know, you've got the, you know, mods and rockers, you know, you've got punks, but Northern Soul was sort of very, very much sort of like taking place alongside all of this, and I think almost hidden, you know, from the world, you know, and it all comes
It was a wee bit
from
similar
the
to
music that
Northern
was imported through the ports, you know.
It was quite localized, wasn't it? Northern
Yeah.
Soul, quite
Yeah.
like the mod scene was localized because
Yeah.
the original mods it never ever broke out of the UK, whereas
Yeah.
I suppose the mod revival to a certain extent there was little pockets of it in other countries, but Northern Soul was like that. I don't think Northern Soul really broke out of the UK as a kind of youth movement.
I don't think
Well,
so.
the music was American. The music was
Yeah,
American, wasn't it? Yeah. But it was played in the northern towns of, you know, Wigan's the famous one, but you just as well see a Northern Soul all-nighter in Stoke on Trent or Derby or somewhere like that. But it was typically in the north, Midlands in the north.
I picked up a record collection about a year ago, and I've got the stickers somewhere, but the guy who sold me the collection had loads of these different Northern Soul stickers. So it was like the Edinburgh Northern Soul movement and the Bathgate. So it was a big thing in Scotland as well.
So
What is
here's a
that?
book. It's conversation between Mark Leckey, who's a brilliant thinker and artist, with Evan Spencer. And they're basically both drawing parallels between Northern Soul and another scene from Northern Italy, the Gabber techno scene from the early 90s. And there's pictures of both cultures and the aesthetics and the clothing. And then they have like both of them in conversation where they talk about the parallels in terms of youth culture and the social reflexes. It's pretty interesting, but it also shows how it's a sort of niche that is somewhat outside of the public eye.
Stunty, can you tell us what was the name of the Italian movement?
It's there's a type of techno that is super fast and very stubborn. That's called Gabber.
Gabber.
Yeah, and in northern Italy in the 90s, it got huge in a way that was kind of really under the radar. It was huge without being in the media, and it created its own aesthetic codes and reflexes that have still like an effect on current pop culture. Like that music was deemed as trash, and now you have bands like Gabber Eleganza that is turning that music into a sort of piece of art and taking it. It's a little bit. Of course, there is a postmodern aspect to it, but still interesting way to look at it and to start to think.
Could we draw a parallel with some movement that came out in France?
Yeah, well, in France we had the Technival scene, which was parallel to this Gabber scene. Like basically, in when was the criminal justice bill in the UK? Was it 92, 93? When basically the government passed this law that you couldn't have a party with repetitive beats with more than 3 people in the same room.
Really?
The anti-rave law, basically.
The anti-rave thing.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been in the early 90s, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened is that a lot of the techno crews or tribes or families migrated from the UK to France. The most famous one being what's the name again? Oh, the name will come back. They had a hit in the UK back then, and they started these parties in France where you would have like 50,000 people, youth, gathering during the weekend. You had to have a beeper that would tell you the location, which was a private field that they occupied. And there was just too many people there for the police to be able to do anything without creating an even bigger problem. But
Yeah.
you had that in the UK, but like the law took it away, and so it migrated to France on an even bigger scale.
Yeah.
So that would be like almost like
the whole rave scene became sort of like a moral panic in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, it was the worst thing that could possibly happen. It was the end of civilization as we know it. All these young people themselves at a weekend.
I wrote an article. I was doing some stuff with one of the DJs from the Hacienda in Manchester, and talking with him made me realize something. As I'm really into football as well. My dad was a football player, and so when the UK got banned from European Cups in '87 because of the Heysel tragedy in '86, yeah.
I'll just stop you there, Stunty. When England get banned from Europe in 1987, Scotland weren't banned. Wales were not banned.
Yeah, but they stopped these England-Scotland matches after you guys wrecked Wembley Stadium.
But there's a very interesting parallel to make with music, and especially with rave music, because in '87, that's the summer where you had the British DJ who went to Ibiza and came back with acid house.
Yeah.
In I think it was in September '87, Alex Ferguson got named head coach of Manchester, and basically the law was that like there was a ban for 5 years on British clubs, a moratorium of 5 years of English clubs. Sorry, Jack. And so if they behaved good, then they would be allowed back. And why was that? Why was there a problem? Because there was a huge hooliganism, violence culture. And how did the UK, the England get rid of that culture?
Ecstasy,
exactly.
Yeah,
Rave culture. Because suddenly
they put seats in stadiums. That's what they did. They
Yeah,
put seats in
that too.
stadiums. That was the big
No, but
change.
you know that the people would still fight outside of the stadium before and after. What happened is that with ecstasy, there was so much money to be made that all the gangs had no reason to fight each other anymore. So literally, no, but there was much less violence.
I've read about that as well. Yeah,
That's a fringe issue. That's fringe. It didn't change sport. I mean, ecstasy did what it did, but it had a community, that youth community. But you know, football fans are at all ages, and hooligans into the 40s and even 50s sometimes.
Like violence in the UK actually diminished in a significant way, because people who went to party and who drank booze, they used to fight. With ecstasy, of course, it brings a lot of other problems. I'm not like an advocate or advocating or anything, but like the statistics show that like one of the reasons why the English clubs were back in was they considered that the violence in the UK had diminished also around the stadium. That's the statistics. I studied it. I literally
seats in stadiums, 100% the biggest issue, the biggest thing that made the change. Seats in stadiums.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that also the amount of people getting stabbed and killed outside of the stadiums before and after diminished dramatically. That's the
seats in stadiums was up.
People were all around and killed outside football stadiums anyway.
Was to do with Hillsborough as well, wasn't it? And not just to do with football hooliganism.
Yeah,
a lot of that was connected to the whole Hillsborough disaster. Because what year was Hillsborough? So
89, I think.
Yeah. So, and then I think it was pretty much after that we pretty much moved to all-seater stadiums.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Margaret Thatcher brought it in, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was only the lower leagues that had terraces after that. I think I would agree with Stunty. I think that the whole ecstasy scene did have a part to play as well. People moved away from like the mass violence of the 70s and the 80s wasn't the same in the 90s. You know, it was more of a meet up before the game or an organised meet rather than like the absolute chaos at stadiums.
And I remember as a 14 or 15, I think it was in 92, Manchester back in the European Winners of Cup. Mark Hughes scores. They get like the European Cup, 92 or 93, not sure.
Yeah.
And exactly when that happens, they kill it. Like criminal justice bill. And like, oh, we don't want that anymore. I understand why. And of course, like Britain is inherently conservative, unfortunately, from my point of view, and not necessarily from everyone's point of view. But
yeah.
Well, being a bit conservative with a small C, I'm afraid I'm going to have to bow out because I need my beauty sleep.
Okay.
So I'm going for a nice walk tomorrow morning. So
Thanks
so
for
I'm going to bid you goodbye. Nice to speak to you guys.
Yeah,
thanks
nice
for stopping by. Yeah,
David.
really
Yeah,
good.
see you then. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye, David.
Bye.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, going back to Northern Soul, if we want to really talk about it, we need Nick up here.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
Yeah.
He's the authority, isn't he, on Northern Soul?
He
I was
is.
watching a little bit when he was chatting about his singles the other night and talking about them being reissues and still being expensive. So I discogged a couple of them, and they were like, those reissues were like 20, 25, 30 pounds for reissues. Crazy.
I know.
one could read Nick Vinyl Buddy's comment there as an admission that he was partaking in all of that, I would say.
Well,
Just saying.
yeah. I suppose that's just a matter of degree. But yeah,
Never heard of that term, the English disease. I never heard. Was that something in the 80s? Yeah, British press. I don't know.
I think it was linked to football hooliganism in the 80s, and they called it the English disease.
yeah. I mean, mainly.
Then, like Nick said, every nation's got its elements,
Problem.
doesn't it? You know,
Yeah.
a lot of Scots fans, Rangers fans, when they went down to Manchester and absolutely trashed Manchester city centre. What was that, about 20 years ago, 15 years ago? Something like that. Or the Dutch and the Germans, like Nick said, have got a bad hooligan element. So every country's got it.
Just remember the name of that big techno crew that migrated to France, the Spiral Tribes, who had like a big hit like in 1991 or 2 in the UK. Forward the Future or something like that. I don't know. Were you into that kind of music, Jack?
Like Acid House and rave and stuff like that. Not really. No. I was like a kind of indie kid when I was younger. My earliest days, it was Beatles, Stones, the music of my parents, Dylan and Small Faces and all that. And then when I kind of got a mind of my own, and I still love all that stuff, but when my kind of generation, it was kind of the Happy Mondays and the Stone Roses and the Charlatans and all that kind of thing. That was my.
Well, you just named the Happy Mondays and Charlatans, who were like some of the biggest promoters of acid house back then.
Yeah. It was that kind of rock acid house crossover, wasn't it? And that was the big thing with Rennie as a drummer. He mixed acid house beats with kind of indie beats, and the same with like bands like Primal Scream as well. They kind of had a foot in both camps with that kind of whole Andy Weatherall influence. But yeah,
100%. And at the same time, I think that's when Paul McCartney, who you just named as what you were into, when he was trying to do this music kind of like that with Youth from Killing Joke under the name The Fireman.
Oh yeah, I got a Killing Joke album I picked it up in a house clearance about a few weeks ago. I've given it one listen, but I'm not sure if it's maybe too heavy for my tastes. Like everybody who's commented on it in the VCs, like, oh, it's a brilliant album. But I'm not sure. Might be too heavy for me.
Which one is it?
It's the one with the kind of black and white cover. I think it's a
Oh yeah,
picture
it's
from
the first
Northern
one.
Ireland.
It's the first one. It's the one that's got their best song, in my opinion, Requiem.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not the album. That's the single. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the single from Knights and Queen or something like.
83, 85.
It's the fourth album, I think. Fourth or yeah. I love their second album. What's it called? What is or whatever. But the album you got, Jack, I think is very uneven. But the single on it is one of the best, one of the top 5 singles of.
Is that Requiem?
Yeah, Requiem.
Yeah.
Like
I'll give it a listen. I did like it, but yeah, I kind of find now that because I've got kind of more limited time to listen to music, I've got to be more choosy. I don't know if you feel the same. You get to the point where there's so much stuff that you want to listen to, but you've got to be a little bit kind of choosy on what you listen to because you can't listen to everything. And yeah.
Killing Joke at the time of that album.
Say again, sorry.
The album you got, which I think is just a self-titled album.
Yeah, I think so.
It's they used to be touring with Joy Division.
Oh yeah.
They basically did the last Joy Division tour as like their equal, but they were more like a party band. Even if the music is quite heavy, they were like fun guys and rocking, and which is why Hookie stayed with them in the backstage, which was basically what was the future with New Order. That was kind of the telling point. But like I've seen like a bunch of interviews of Jazz Coleman, the singer leader of Killing Joke, where he talked about Joy Division and the time back then. It's probably the best insight, the most lucid insight on Joy Division I've ever heard. Much better than the guys from New Order.
Yeah.
Right.
why does he has a special statement or a?
Well, he was there. He was on stage.
Yeah.
He saw the audience like they did. He was backstage with them, and he was successful. So he had no reason to put ego in there, and he didn't. He was friends with them. He also acknowledged that they were impossible to deal with for outside of
The circle. Yeah.
Peter Hook. And he later worked with them. They had like a band together in the early 90s, including also the members of Can, surprisingly, and Tuxedo for a one-off project that like could have been more, but like no one bought it. It came out on CD in 92, 93, and none amounted of it, but it's a very interesting record. I mean, you have guys from Joy Division, Killing Joke, Can, Tuxedo Moon, and some others that
yeah, lovely.
And you guys like these guys?
No.
Sorry?
Do you like these guys? Do you know them? Goat.
Oh, Goat. Okay,
yeah. I don't have that album, Jack. You showed it a while ago, and I thought I really need to listen to that one. But yeah, Goat.
Like doom metal, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a mixture of Afrobeat and jazz, a little bit experimental, but they've been quite heavily criticised for kind of cultural appropriation. Was it cultural appropriation? Yeah, you kind of wonder if they're how kind of authentic. Mike, do you know the whole backstory about them saying that they come from like some like almost cult-like Swedish village where
I don't know a lot about it, Jack.
So they basically said that their band evolved out. It was like a revolving band of like about 40 or 50 different people from this little small village, and this village is meant to be connected to witchcraft and all this kind of thing. And they dress. None of them give away their identities. They wear these kind of funny masks. So I don't know. I like this. I think it's it's a wee bit kind of unique, I think. And when they talk about like the kind of cultural appropriation, sometimes I don't really see that as, I don't know. Sometimes I don't see that as a bad thing. We talk about mixing up genres and taking little bits. And really, should there be any kind of, should anybody be a gatekeeper in terms of traditional musics? Or I think nowadays with globalization,
it depends how you do it, though. If you, for example, like in the late 80s and and throughout the 90s, you had so many bands that were just sampling like ethnographical records of African traditional music and just putting the vocals on whatever. And that's the first time you hear it. Yeah, but and the first time you hear it, it's novel. But after you get like a little bit used to it, you realize, okay, this is actually not genuine. This is kind of it makes me feel weird about it, like with distance, more so actually. But there's a way to do it in a way that is actually smart and challenging, I'm sure. Like
it's kind of the same with hip hop. You can look at some hip hop acts and they can take, for instance, like just a full riff, like a full bar of AC/DC playing some like classic riff and then just rap over the top. Or else you can look at someone like Dirty Art Club who take all these like minute little samples and build them all together that creates something that's completely new and completely fresh. And like you said, it depends really, doesn't it, on how you do it, how you approach it, and whether you're creating a new piece of art or whether you're just effectively ripping someone off.
One of the earliest cultural appropriation in British music, popular music, was Adam and the Ants, like the Burundi beat, or no, what's his name, Prince Charming.
The album,
yeah. But again, we can go back to Northern Soul, and there was a lot of soul music sort of came into the UK through the British ports, where you get sort of people who were working on the ships. They go to the States, they pick up all these records and bring them back.
Right.
And there are so many of these records, that they were just ripped off. The tune was just ripped off and recorded by somebody else in the UK without any acknowledgement whatsoever.
Yeah, but in that case, it kind of came either from love of the music or sort of like, I want to exist, so I want to copy what I love. In the case of the Burundi beat, it was just the Burundi beat was just Malcolm McLaren, the manager, who thought like this would be a great way to break into the charts, and then to market it as something that it is not. Maybe they did it creatively and it had some influence later on other bands, but listening to that now, actually that one doesn't sound horrible. It's just not that good either, but it's not like cheesy or whatever, but it's probably the intention. Like if we go to a spiritual level of thinking about it, cultural appropriation, it is basically, if you think about voodoo, like stealing your soul or something, like trying to get the values of your music, appropriating these values without being part of the culture, without having been living the rituals, and without having an understanding basically of the culture, just using the aesthetic of it without any understanding.
Out of context, doesn't it? There's no context to it. It's just a sound. It's a new sound. Look what we found, and
that's happened all the way through music history, hasn't it? And quite often the act that appropriates the original art form usually becomes the more successful. If you look at like the Beatles and the Stones, like taking the records of Chuck Berry and Muddy Waters and all that kind of thing, and then beyond that, acts like Eminem, Or
That's interesting. The example with the Stones, they even took their name from Muddy Waters.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
But it's funny when they went in the U.S. He was like, "Hey, this is my son's." After that, so
Led
Yeah,
Zeppelin
but
would be the worst. That was like downright thievery, wasn't it, with Led Zeppelin? Where
yeah,
they were
but like,
just
if Jack, if you ask yourself the question, okay, let's say in either lazy way or actually smart way that they stole it from Chuck Berry and blah blah blah. Then the question again: did they understand the music?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think they did.
yeah,
I think too.
yeah. And I
They
suppose
loved
that's
it. They adored it.
It's
They
not
were
like it's the most difficult music to understand. Let's be honest about it as well.
But then in those days it would have been, because they would have had limited access to it. They would have been picking up scraps that they got their records, didn't they, from the Liverpool dockers, the guys that were coming over on the ship. So it would have been the odd single here and there. They wouldn't have had the information that we've got now, where a couple of clicks of a mouse and you know everything there is to know about R&B, or you can listen to any R&B act or any blues act. They would be getting tiny little fragments of a jigsaw and trying to piece it together to create what they believed was an authentic art form for them to kind of emulate and take forward. So it's amazing if you think about it in the context of like early 1960s Liverpool, to produce something as authentic as the Stones, or obviously the Stones down in London, or the Beatles in Liverpool. I think everything was by mail order as well. How long must it have taken to get a single from the States to the UK, and then to try and piece that together?
There's
Yeah,
a
you can't
But
there's
they
think
an
of
didn't piece it
amazing
together. They copied it. I mean, the early Stones, they were doing original blues songs, so they copied it, and it took time for them to realize that they had their own ability to write. So it
yeah.
happened over years,
Well, they were
not
forced, weren't they?
overnight.
They didn't even realise it. It was a case of, was it Andrew Oldman putting them in a cupboard together and saying,
Correct.
"Write, you will write a song." Yeah,
Yes.
And
yeah,
yet, most people who are really into music and who are not fans will almost always agree that the best Rolling Stones albums are the first four. That
Yeah.
everything after that is like kind of whatever.
Well, they're special. I don't know if they're the best. I mean, I like
Well,
From Beggar's Banquet to Exile on Main Street. I mean,
yeah. So do
they
I.
had they had special series of records that were very special unto themselves.
there's a I don't know if you've seen it. There's an amazing documentary from Ken Loach called about the Liverpool Dockers, which is mostly about the strike during the 90s.
Hmm.
But there's some, between the lines, you feel it talks about the culture that was brought to the UK through Liverpool, and that if we just look at the economical aspects of it, we're missing like more than like the majority of the story of it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, yeah, just the West Indies music, like the West Indies only exists in the UK. That expression, that word, by the way, like
Really?
yeah, in France, the West Indies doesn't exist. It's
Hmm.
no,
we say
it's
what we say Caribbean, Antilles.
Caribbean,
Yeah.
Antilles, musique antillaise, Caribbean. But West Indies is such an interesting, romantic, and very post-colonial way of looking at things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's based on a geographical mistake, isn't it?
Mm.
But sailing across the Atlantic, finding land and sort of believing that you were actually in Asia at the time. And yeah,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
that's about yeah. There's so much sort of cultural schizophrenia there. When you think about it, the U.S., where they literally tried to genocide the local people, the Indians. But when you look at it, like it's so easy to not think about it. But outside of the states on the East Coast And on the West Coast, everything in between, all the states have Indian names. Every single one. They try to annihilate them, and they kept the names anyway. What is this? So this is so weird. Michael, what do you think about it? Like, it's so easy. Like,
Oda.
it's easy
Yeah.
to not. Only need half a second to realize that. Okay, Massachusetts, Michigan are Indian names, but you could also not take that half second and go throughout your whole life without thinking, without realizing this, which is insane.
It is, isn't it?
And I'm saying
was-
that to someone who's not an intellectual, by the way. But
In
Not
Wisconsin,
an intellectual.
in Wisconsin, they still have French name.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yep. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Yes.
time to hit the button.
Okay.
3 hours. So thanks to everyone for joining the panel.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks everyone for watching. Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Stay tuned. Bye.